The World Creole Music Festival in context with Gordon Henderson, Sobers Esprit, Ambassador Leroy Waddix Charles, Ayodele Andrew, and Geoffrey Joseph. 25 in 25 towards another 25. 8 p.m. Monday 20th October on Independence Radio, World Creole Music Festival Radio, DBS.
Has been a rainy Monday here on the Nature Isle of Dominica. We say good evening and welcome to this special discussion 25 in 25. As we get set to host our 25th World Creole Music Festival here in Dominica. We welcome our viewers on social media and the listeners on the various frequencies and those on dvcradio.net. My name is Miguel Labadie. I'm your host, your moderator, your good friend. Speaking with our esteemed and qualified panel. Join me in studios, and we will be linking via Zoom with Gordon Henderson. Already seen our guests engaging in some discussion. Not sure if it's a debate, but let's get into it. Gonna be really taking an interesting angle on tonight's discussion. Feel free to share the link or the live and invite a friend, a patron, a true Dominican, a fan of the World Creole Music Festival, a stakeholder to join in on this very important discussion. We have in studios Ayodele Andrew, who has over 2 decades of experience in event management, tourism, and hospitality. She has been very instrumental in organizing some of the more prestigious festivals, to include St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival, Antigua Carnival, and our WCMF. We welcome our events and festivals manager, Ayodele Andrew, to the discussion. Ayodele, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Miguel. I'm fantastic. How are you?
All right, doing fine. Good to have you.
All
right. We are also joined by Gordon Henderson via Zoom. Gordon is a Dominican songwriter, composer, and cultural pioneer whose music has shaped the global Creole landscape for over 5 decades. He has discovered and launched numerous artists while penning and recording countless hits. Let's say good evening to Gordon Henderson, or is it morning in France? Gordon, hello and welcome.
Greetings. Good evening. Yeah, it is early morning for me, but I've slept, so I'm ahead of you.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time. We're also joined by Mr. Sobers Esprit, a development specialist who has worked within the creative and cultural industries. He is at present an independent consultant in the areas of tourism development, creative industries, and media and communications. Currently, he's the deputy chairman of the DDA, director on the board of Invest Dominica Authority, and a member of the National Cultural Council of Dominica. Welcome, Sobers Esprit. How are you?
Good, man. Nice, a beautiful day, you know.
Indeed, we have
nice
to give thanks.
Cool,
showers of blessings.
A little wet, but
Did
nice.
you take your walk this afternoon?
No, Miguel, I couldn't do that. Unfortunately. You come and join me tomorrow?
I would love to.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Just need the motivation, man.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for being here. We're also joined by Leroy Wadix Charles, Ambassador Prince Wadix Charles, a founding member of the World Creole Music Festival, a cultural ambassador, as we rightly said, and many of you know him as a DJ, promoter, and broadcaster. Leroy, good evening, welcome.
Good evening to you, Dr. Miguel Labadie, and good evening to the listeners of DBS Radio.
Thank you, Prince, for joining us. And we also have Mr. Geoffrey Joseph, known as JJ Youth. He is a manager, songwriter, rhythm keyboardist, and vocalist with TK International. Geoffrey, good evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man, Miguel. How are you doing?
Doing fine. How about the police?
Oh, the police are out in numbers. They're doing their work.
They don't understand that code between us. Something
that's
between
all
us. Yeah. All right, gentlemen and lady, thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us. It promises to be an interesting one. Now, this would have been, if my math does me well, our 29th WCMF. Of course, we couldn't have a festival in 2015 due to Erica, in 2017 due to the passage of Hurricane Maria, and in 2020 and 2021 due to COVID. One can only imagine the revenue we were not able to earn during these years. But here we are. We came back in 2022 and we have been on. It's 2025 and this will be the 25th WCMF. I want to start with Gordon Henderson. Gordon, you would have performed at several festivals. You've been in the business well over 50 years. Now, from my research, there's a particular festival in the Netherlands. I think it's called the Pink Pop Festival, which has been running for some 55 years. We're on 25. Gordon, as one who has performed at several festivals for at least 50 years, what do you think contributes to the longevity of a music festival? Gordon.
This is a big one. Off the top of my head, I think the experience, and I insist on the experience more than the lineup. If the experience has made itself, then you don't even need a lineup. And I'm not joking. If you think of Coachella, because you speak of a festival in the Netherlands, everybody who is interested in festivals would know about Coachella. Everybody wants to go to Coachella. Who is performing at Coachella? Well, we know there will be several great artists. And why? Because of the reputation of the organizers. So I think it's the same thing for every festival. If the experience has made its name, that's the answer.
Do you think it has been the same for WCMF approaching 25? I mean, it would have been 29, but 25.
Exactly. But you can ask Mark Marie, who runs a small hotel. People book for next year, 2026. They are booked. Who's on the lineup?
Yep.
Well, probably
you
TK.
may know. I'm told that you're part of people who booked, they don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Now, Sobers, one can say a major music festival is really the concept of combining music and travel to boost tourism, to any destination. But I want you to educate our listeners and viewers as to why a music festival, why the World Creole Music Festival.
Well, yeah. First of all, thanks very much DBS for having us again another year, another nights of the festival week to be on and speaking about the festival experience, as Gordon said, experience. That is critical. So, when we conceptualize this thing called a music festival, the idea was really about bringing music and travel together, as you rightly pointed out, because we recognize that for our tourism to explode, if you will, or to really make a major dent on the global marketplace, that we needed to bring in the music in particular. But but basically we were looking at ways in which we can really look at the culture, the heritage of Dominica into into an experience for visitors to the island. Because as you know, Dominica is well known for its adventure, for its ecotourism. And so we felt it was important now to bring in into the mix the arts and culture and hence the music. For us, it was a no-brainer because Dominica produced some of the best musicians in the Eastern Caribbean and probably in the Caribbean. We're talking to one of the best ever. Is on tonight. Let me tip my hat to Mr. Gordon Henderson. To me, the greatest Dominican musician ever. I want to say that tonight and to say that always, because he has given us more than 50 years of wonderful, exciting music from the days of Voltage 4 to Exile 1, and he's still doing his thing. So it was a no-brainer to bring in our music and to combine it with the Creole experience. The Creole experience was what? Music from the other Creole countries, bringing our Creole heritage into the mix, and that was the formula. Of course, you had to have a level of investment to make it happen. So we had to go to government and say, we need some money to make this festival, go to the private sector to really get the support and the buy-in, and to the communities, because it was also important to tie in the festival concept and festival model into the wider community, because we knew from the beginning that the community had to be engaged in this exercise. So for us, it was really easy 30 years ago to start this journey. And so today we are here 30 years later, and let me just tip my hat again to our fallen comrade, the late Julius Timothy, who took a chance on us when we asked the government of Dominica at that time for $400,000 to do a festival. And they say we were crazy. I mean, how will you give you $400,000 in a small economy to do a music festival? And Timothy had to convince his colleagues and to convince the country that it was worth investing in this festival. So we want to salute Julius Timothy for his visionary thinking, his leadership, and of course his support to ensuring that we could build this incredible experience called the Dominica World Creole Music Festival that we're celebrating 25 editions later.
Mm-hmm. Very well. I'm very happy you made mention of the late Mr. Timothy. Going across to Prince Wadix, the history lessons never get old, Prince Wadix, and you never get tired of expounding on the significance of really that marriage between our Creole culture, our Kadas, Lipso music, and influence on an impact on the Creole Music Festival itself, going back to its inception. You were there along with guys like Sobers and Gordon, Mr. Timothy, Sheridan Gregoire, McMurray, and the others, Wadix. But your take, as you usually give, on the whole significance of our culture and our Kadas Lipso music and the impact and influence on the World Creole Music Festival itself.
Well, firstly, I would like to join Sobers in acknowledging the distinguished Julius Timothy and the role that he played in actually financing or being the Minister of Finance at the time, who was already convinced that Dominica needed to have that sort of experience. And also to Eddie Toulon, who was the first executive director, fallen brother, and Jeffrey Brisbane, also a founding member. It is critical to understand that when the festival was conceptualized, they brought a team of nationals together from a broad section of society, and it was decided then we're going to have a Kadas Zouk Festival. And I want to go way back from 1995, a Kadas Zouk Festival. And then subsequently it was felt that it may not be sustained because there were not enough Kadas Lipso bands at the time. The Kadas Lipso boom was over, and quite a bit of other elements were now in the fore. So we felt it was very important to expand the festival. Several members came together, and we decided on the World Creole Music Festival with a Franco, very interesting, and I want to repeat that, Franco twist. Why? It was because of Cadence Calypso, and I want to emphatically say so. Dominique had experienced for the first time the creation of a genre. And apart from, let's say, Jamaica with ska, then reggae, and then Barbados, Spooge, no other Caribbean island created a genre. Dominica became the first in the OECS to have created a musical genre, which was very important, and dominated, not only dominated throughout the Caribbean, but it actually went as far as the four corners of the globe, headed by Gordon Henderson, who is right there. And it was very important that we use the impetus of this. We have already had the domination of the French Antilles, who are already with us. Quite a bit of the songs were already making it big throughout the Caribbean. So it was important to invite the rest of the Creole world in one space. And that space was Dominica. And it is also critical to understand, despite the fact it was a music festival, but most of the language that was sung, Creole, Franco Creole. So at the same time, the language was very important, and a Federation of Creole Cultures was formed. And Subas would know about that Federation of Creole Cultures, which would include several of the Franco Islands, Creole Islands, to include St. Lucia, Haiti, Guadeloupe, Martinique, as far as Louisiana. Now that was formed to enhance, so at the same time, while the music festival, the music part of it, would take center stage, but the language would have also been part of the movement. So thus, it was also very important to bring the festival. And so those who may not know, we looked at several months of the year. And when we narrowed down to everything, we decided on October, mainly because that is the time we celebrate basically our Franco heritage aspect of our culture, and basically the traditional. It was well suited there. One recalls we were said to be bastardizing the culture, which would mean that at the time the festival was thought to have been brought into October, the month of October, we were going to kill the traditional aspect of our culture. Ironically, this is what we are doing today. Killing the traditional aspect. I want to say it boldfacedly. If it continues, by 2030, the traditional aspect during the time allocated to it by E.O. Libla from the late 60s will die. This festival is the greatest thing that has ever happened to Dominica's music. It has really brought tremendous dividends, tremendous offsprings. It has brought the world to Dominica. We have gotten tremendous recognition. Right now, the festival is placed on possibly the best in the Caribbean and can stand out with any other festival, possibly globally. So we have done well as a brand. We have done well to expose quite a bit of the Creole genres, and I have a whole list that I can give you at the same time while I'm on that topic. We had the ability to expose Cadence Calypso, Zouk, and there are 3 different types of Zouk: Zouk Chiri, Zouk Compa, Zouk Love, Zouk Béton, Compa, Sembitin, Begin, Chouvalbois, Gwoka, Zaidiko, Soukous, Afro Zouk, Afrobeat, Bouillon, Calypso, Rara, Salsa, Merengue, Bachata, Soca, Raga, Reggae, Dancehall, Denry segment, and a bit of R&B when Akon and Wyclef graced the stage. So all that, a whole melting pot of possibly the finest genres ever. No other festival can boast of that melting pot of various genres. So we have done well. And like Sobers and Gordon said, we have now become a brand. So people don't even have to wait for the lineup. Mark Murray doesn't even have to wait for the lineup before his hotels is filled, because we are now a brand. So what we have done well is we have used 100% Dominican power, the only festival in the region. St. Lucia Jazz used BT and St. Kitts, and Jamaica Sunsplash used American forces, but 100% Dominican production. We were able to do this in 30 years, which is remarkable.
All right. I'll get back to you on some of the points you made, but let me get to Ayo. Ayo, just about a year you've been at the head as events and festivals manager. I mean, looking from the outside before you came in, or even while you were associated working with the team, in whatever ways, what was your vision? What did you see in terms of ways the festival could be improved and developed, as a creative person? What was your own vision coming in from how things were and you being at the helm now, whatever it is that you are able to implement? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't say so much about like how the festival itself is improved. I think the festival is a product that is truly made its name, it's made its mark. The experience offered, generally, people, anybody who has been to the festival or even know about the festival, most people have a fair idea of what to expect, and people are interested in the festival because of how the festival is sold and what they anticipate to experience. And I believe the festival does sell itself. Having worked on other festivals around the Caribbean and, even in North America and Europe, I can say that there are things that are even coming in now, working that I see that are intrinsic specifically to the World Korean Music Festival that makes it especially unique to Dominica and the Caribbean. So I wouldn't say so much about improvement. I think what we should look at is preservation of and maintaining what is truly Dominican, because that is the experience people come for. So to ensure that we maintain that spontaneous and authentic Dominican vibe that people come from. And it's not just for the stage experience, it's all the other things that happens around the festival, what happens in Dominica when you arrive. Well, a lot of people, when you talk to people about their festival experience, they don't just focus on what happens on main stage. And as Gordon said, it's not, people don't even talk so much about the artists. Yes, it's great. It was a good show, but most people talk about how they feel, and then there's that nostalgic feeling and the connection and where they ate, who they met, who they hung out with, which river they went to. Oh, they lost their wallet, but then when they went back to the supermarket, they got it, and they didn't get their luggage, but the hotel arranged for them to get some clothes, and people were so friendly. They lost their phone. They couldn't get their taxi. Somebody allowed them to sleep on their couch and fed them and called somebody for them. Those are the things that people really talk about when they talk about the festival experience. So it is what we as Dominicans offer as a whole. And I would say these are the things that for us as producers, as a festival, want to encourage people to keep, because the festival is, yes, as the producers, DDA, we're a very small team. The festivals department only has myself and 2 other staff, really. And then, we have the wider DDA team, but that's less than 40 people. And we have extended teams that we work with that we bring in to produce the festival. But it is what Dominica as a people, as our culture, what we offer people for the experience, the vendors, what they serve, what they felt, the interaction. And that is the critical thing I would say we need to focus on.
Yeah, a little later I'll get back to the points on preserving and maintaining. But let's go across to Geoffrey. Geoffrey, TK International, based on my unofficial count, has probably been on the festival more than any other act, or at least among featured, what is he saying? Yes,
they have been.
Probably more than any other act, Geoffrey. Take us through the earlier years up to current times and what it is that the World Creole Music Festival has done for your band, for your careers, for your brand and band as TK International, and likewise, what have you and what can you, as not only TK but as Dominican musicians, do in turn for the World Creole Music Festival?
All right, good night, Miguel, and to the listeners of DBS. And I have to say that even for me personally, before I even get into what the Creole Festival has done for the band, look at what it has done for me. Tonight, I'm sitting around among royalty in the creatives industry, you know, and to be in conversation with such esteemed persons, you know, is obviously a different level up for me personally, and for what you can deem as you know, creatives, because what it did, I think the festival, it legitimized the art form. Musicians before were somewhat thought of as lower class, you know, especially local musicians. We would adore the foreigners and so on, but the local musicians, you would be like, Mr. playing music, you know, that kind of thing. But then when the festival started, and then those musicians were placed in front of their home crowd on an international stage, rubbing shoulders with the big acts, the international acts, you know, then it gave them that level that people were recognizing that, okay, yeah, these are not just musicians that, you know, we know around. These are world-class entertainers. These are people of a standard, you know what I mean? And what it did for musicians locally is it gave them something to aspire to. You, as a musician, you have your little band, let's say, and, you know, back then it was a lot of bands. And you always had that dream that, yeah, you play music around, but you want to play so that you could get a call-up to be on the Creole Festival, you know? It was seen as the most prestigious stage, and I believe it is still the most prestigious stage. I arguably will you know, tell anyone that Creole Festival is, I think, the biggest stage in the Caribbean, obviously. That's from my perspective. And arguably, you know, if we go, you know, even further than that, you know, I mean, we're probably not on the level of Coachella, but we are up there in the elite festivals, you know. So in terms of what it has done for Triple K, is it has allowed us to place a certain demand on ourselves. That over the years, we started playing our music, we got recognized, we were able to go on to the festival. But we always keep telling ourselves that the festival is not our own. We always have to work every year to maintain our standard, to maintain the reach, so that we can be called again to be on the festival. You know what I mean? So these are, the festival in itself allows for the art form, all the local artists, all of those aspiring to have somewhere to reach, you know what I mean? And in 2006, no, 2005, I'm not good like Wadix on the dates, but in 2005, we were not on the lineup, in the initial lineup, and I can't recall exactly the circumstances that led us to being called last minute, and we took full advantage of that opportunity. That would have been our second year on the festival, and lo and behold, again we treated that opportunity with all the vigor that it needed, and we came there very professionally, and we did what we had to do. We executed without having any idea that there were scouts in the crowd from other festivals, international festivals, and after our performance, Creole Festival, our manager got a call and said, "Yo, you guys need to be Europe side. You guys need to be on the Anti-En Festin in Belgium." And you know, it came as a shock, because you're like, what? You know, how did this happen? You know what I mean? But it all happened because we regarded the festival as that stage. If we just thought of it as, well, it's another show, another Dominica thing, you know, you come and do it. But we gave it the respect that we saw that it deserved. You understand? So it gave us that opportunity, and at the end of that opportunity, obviously, now I think it was Wadix himself who started coining us Triple K International.
Is it?
And going down the road, yeah. Wadix had a big part to play in all of these things, you know. You know what I mean? So that is like the springboard for getting us out onto that, recognition platform.
And do you feel that Dominican musicians owe a special allegiance or have a certain responsibility to the World Creole Music Festival itself in terms of its preservation and its promotion? And
Definitely. If you're not proud of what you have as a local, as Dominican, again, as was mentioned earlier, this is a homegrown thing. It's not a thing that was thought of by someone else or promoted by someone else. This was thought of by guys right here with us, and they did what they had to do. They sacrificed, a lot. Dare say some of them sacrificed their own lives to ensure that this festival grew. And the fact that it has grown to this level right now, 25 editions later, you have to ensure that it's preserved, not only for yourself if you're a current musician, but for the musicians to follow, for the preservation of the current art form that we have right now. And I think Creole Festival is very instrumental in promoting bouillon music to the level that it has grown to right now. Because people would have come in, not let's suppose when the genre probably was not as well known, and they would have come in probably for the other bigger names, probably for the French music, soca music, dancehall, whatever it is. But there was that opportunity now to showcase the bouillon on that stage, and people got to like, okay, what's this about? How does this go? And then they take home that stuff. And then because we now got the opportunity to move around from, the Creole Festival actually helped us in that regard. Then we were able to now promote the bouillon music all throughout, and then to also use that platform to promote the Creole Festival, to promote Dominica, to promote all other cultural aspects. So it's an entire thing, and I must say the Creole Festival, I don't know if it was conceptualized early on that it would have had so much of an impact. And I say an impact because it has created a season of entertainment and lucrative entertainment for the musicians. I know probably Wadix has his own personal view about probably the traditional aspect, which we don't want to sideline at all. But because it's a festival, and as you're saying, the experience is more than just coming for the main stage. You have the entire, all of the different fringe events and all of the different activities taking place. It has allowed for the musicians to now actually look at this as a full season. So when you're doing your prep as an artist, a musician, a band, you have your carnival season, you have your post-carnival or Lenten season, and then you have your summer, and you must have your independent season, because that season there is Creole Festival season that grew and blossomed because of the festival.
Geoffrey, I want to go across to Gordon Henderson. Gordon has an extension of that question in terms of the Creole Festival and its impact and opportunities for local bands and artists. We've seen a resurgence over the years of some artists who would have been, I don't know if we can say, dormant or not active as guys like yourself and TK and others. But let's look at Kadaslipso music, and that former genre you founded or co-founded back in the 70s, Gordon. Do you think that enough opportunities have been allowed or given to Kadaslipso over the past 2.5 decades on the World Creole Festival stage? Your own assessment on that, Gordon?
Yes, I think so. Because my personal views on Kadaslipso is it is a genre, if you will, of the 70s. I am not one who would like to be stagnant. I think that society evolves and one generation should surpass the previous one. And even if we speak of bouillon, and I'm not straying from the point, bouillon has kept its name. I think in marketing people call that nomenclature. It kept its name. But we know that the bouillon of CK is not the bouillon of Triple K or TK International. And I know something about TK International, the inception of the group.
Yeah.
And it's not the bouillon of, how do you call
Asa?
him?
It's,
NB, the new
Reed.
business.
And so,
Reed.
so it evolves.
Yeah.
So when I listen to bouillon, for example, I hear cadence. To me, this is today's cadence.
Yep.
Ah.
Yep.
And this is not to diminish the value. I want to be jumping in Jeffrey's swimming pool.
Right.
Yes, because I think that
That is-
every generation should surpass the previous
That's
one.
right.
That's how society,
Yes.
music, and everything evolves. So there's one last thing I'd like to say about this cadence thing. The cadence musicians cannot depend on the World Creole Music Festival to evolve.
That's right.
There are things that they have to do if they want to maintain that category of music. And I have to make a comparison, allusion to rock or even
Yes.
reggae, which is closer to us.
Yeah.
This Antillean festival that Jeffrey just spoke about, I performed at that festival 39 years ago.
Wow.
This year, they when Michael Henderson and Junior told Louis, the organizer, because it's a family thing, that Gordon is in Europe and he wants to come. Louis sent me my picture that I find I look like a reggae fellow with a big cap and so on at the time, 39 years ago. Louis came to Dominica, unfortunately saw brilliant acts like Triple K and took them over. And this year I had the opportunity of going and I saw Carlin SP and Mikel at that festival. I performed there 39 years ago. So it's supposed to be, and I'm a cadence man.
Right.
I have decided at my age that I don't want to do more than 4 major festivals a year. I might do something else, but I am not of the age to be doing something every weekend.
Okay.
And so far, I've been able to select 4 major festivals, and this is how I preserve the cadence.
Okay.
Let me just say quickly, because I wanted to make the reggae allusion. The first time I went to the Antillean Festival, and I think 2 children of Louis is in Dominica if they could get there, because I think they were stuck in either Martinique or Guadeloupe because of this ferry thing. But they can tell you that the first time that I went to their festival, I saw a group called the Scotty Lights,
Yes.
a bunch of old men with old instruments, but they were the kings of ska. Now, if anybody knows anything about the evolution of Jamaican music, they don't maintain the name like Bouillon. And I think keeping the name like Compa and Bouillon is a good idea.
All right.
But in Jamaica, they changed the names of generation from ska to rocksteady to reggae to dancehall and what. But 39 years ago, ska was out of it. Bob Marley was the big thing. And this is where I discovered and I saw the Scatolites, a bunch of old men on stage. So those cadence guys who want to maintain the cadence, they have to do what is necessary, because there is a market for people who cling to their generational expression. Even today, there are people who go to the grave of Elvis Presley. We all know that rock and roll has evolved from the Elvis, whatever they were doing, and different types of rock and so on. But if you're doing the Elvis step Presley type of rock, then you have to represent. And you cannot wait for one festival to keep you alive. You have to get together, cooperate.
That's right.
There could be, for the Cadas lovers, the Dominica Cadas Lipso Association, like the Dominica Calypso Association, although the Calypso Association, rightly or wrongly, they are defending the Trinidad form of Calypso that they think ended in 1970. What we are playing, bada 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 bada, this thing is something that started in 1910 and it moved to 1970. They changed the name, it became soca, and Marshall Montano, I think 2 years ago, won the Calypso crown, telling Trinidadians, you know, soca is Calypso, as if they didn't notice the transition. I know I'm too garrulous.
Yeah. I want to get into some other aspects, but I let me go to Ambassador Leroy first. Wadix, how much do you concur? How much do you agree or disagree with Gordon's take on, based on my question in terms of Cadas Lipso inclusion over the years on the Creole Festival?
I believe there was a time it was very important to include the Cadas Lipso Festival. As a matter of fact, during the Pierre Charles regime or run, very early in the tenure of the festival, they were going to have a festival without any Cadas Lipso. And I went around Dominica trying to make Dominicans realize or to sensitize them as to we were going to make a mistake. Because nowhere else in the world one would have created a genre, and that genre was the spinal cord of the festival. The person at the center of the flyer in 1997 is the same person that is there, Gordon Henderson, because he created that genre and because Cadas Lipso really did what it had to do. And then the homeland of Cadas Lipso is having a festival that would never happen in Antigua with Burning Flames, that could never happen in Barbados with Crossfire, that can never happen with Boo in St. Lucia. And here it was, we were going to eliminate Cadas Lipso from the festival. And I went all around, I went to Pierre Charles 5 times, the late Pierre Charles 5 different times. And during Creole in the Park, Sweet Mickey couldn't come, and that is when they drafted Midnight Grovers. So there were times when Cadas Lipso was a Dominican genre, and there were times that some of the people that were in charge of the festival saw it as truly a dead genre. How do you promote what belongs to Dominica? We are now seeing Dominica priding in our centenarians. Should we now call them old and pack them aside because they used to eat whatever they used to eat before and we now eating chicken and chips? I believe God gave us some gifts. And these gifts, we are now manifesting the fruits from them in the World Creole Music Festival. He gave us Cadas Lipso, he gave us Bouillon, and like Gordon say, before the first set of Cadas Bouillon music that were released had a real Cadas Lipso feel from Livenage go way up. The drum lapoka of Livenage, those who may be able to study musicologists would see the same drum patterns with Zuke and go way across to the early days of what Serenade used to play. In particular, to PIK, CK more had the prevalence of the accordion then. You could feel Cadas. As a matter of fact, WCMF admitted there were lots of Cadas Lipso music in their sound. Okay? And I guess the organizers didn't feel it was fit to encourage, because unlike what Gordon said, there are lots of Kadastlipso, young Kadastlipso artists who wants to play Kadastlipso, and we saw it when NCCU did what they had to do. They came to the fore. BS still producing Kadastlipso music. Dice just produced a Kadastlipso song. He sent to me last night. Dice wants to sing Kadastlipso. He said it live on radio. But where is the opportunity? Apart from this year, the last several years, apart from Midnight Groovers, we were not even worrying. As a matter of fact, it was La Veille. Tiva Val, Tewe Tiva Val for Kadastlipso. And I want to say it boldly, because God may be diplomatic and I can understand. Because he created the genre. But I will not. As far as the organizers were concerned, it was Tewe Val for Kadastlipso. Yes, thankful Midnight Groovers saved the day, and they represented. But what about the same opportunity you're giving the young Bouillon artists with no problems? I have no problem in exposing whoever is there, but there are lots of young Kadas. Abia wants to sing Kadas. Dice wants to sing Kadas. Dice was deprived this year. We had a Kadastlipso Festival. Dice sang in tribute to Fitzroy.
Will there be any tribute to Fitzroy Williams?
Well, Ayodele will have to answer that.
Yeah, so I will ask her.
So unlike Gordon, I believe
So
there
just
is a
laughing,
lack.
everybody.
There is a lack, and I want to say it boldly, you know.
Yes,
And I want to say it, and I want you to record it.
say it.
Kadastlipso is lucky to be on this year because, and I can guarantee you, you'll be an MC. Kadastlipso is going to be the early set of bands to perform. All of the Kadastlipso bands going to perform before 11 and maybe 12. To start off, to wait for these so-called big giants that are going to come and play back. Whereby Kadastlipso have authentic music. Midnight Groovers have two young people from France. Two young guys, you'll see them on Wednesday. Alongside UC playing with them. White Fairy is now playing and singing with Chubby so that he can continue.
Right.
Is DFC encouraging them? 45 minutes is encouraging Midnight Groovers. When you watch Gordon Henderson, he may be satisfied that he's on and 45. Is 45 minutes enough for the greatest Kadas or Creole, and I want to say Creole lyricist ever?
Does he have the? Do you have the stamina, Gordon Henderson?
Do you have the stamina? Hold on. I witnessed earlier this year. Before Gordon coming. I witnessed earlier this year in Martinique. Gordon performed for 2 hours and the entire place was rocking.
Push-up competition. Push-ups, and I'm not kidding, man. I'm not kidding.
Midnight Groovers have over
25 or whatever your age is. I'm not.
Midnight Groovers have over 50 albums. You're celebrating 25 years. You can give other genres 90 minutes, 75 minutes, and you're giving them 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we saying? Now, my other thing with the Kadas, these guys produce music on the most adverse conditions, and God would possibly lament that. I've interviewed all. Graham Max lived in one room. They said it straight on the radio. Sometimes they have one band door to share all of them, and they survived. They survived. Okay? To have us or give us the authenticity to tell the world that we can have a World Creole Music Festival. If we never had Kadas, nobody would take us seriously. I can bet that about a World Creole. Now the other thing, WCMF, the C is for Creole. Most of Kadastlipso are done in the same C. Kassav intentionally made all their songs with that C. We have reached a stage.
See, as in a musical note, Geoffrey, as in a chord. See,
No.
No. I'm not talking about the C minor and the C major. I'm talking about the C Creole.
Yeah.
And there was a reason for the C. There is a reason for the C. If we do not want the C anymore, we can take it out and just have it world music. But there is a reason. Now, we know the reason. Because we know the reason for the festival was during the independence time. And I want to correct Geoffrey, it's not the Creole time, it is the independence time. I'm Geoffrey. Put that in your head. It is the independence time from the end of September to the 4th of November. Where Creole is very prevalent. But it is the independence time. And I do not want us to forget that. It is not the Creole festival season.
Yeah.
It is the independent season where the Creole Festival falls nice within. And I want to remind us, that some of the same people are drinking the Hennessy and the what color whiskey. There were some of those that said we were what's the word? Bastardizing the culture. What are we doing today? When we take out the culture on main stage and put it in the forecourt. Eddie Toulon deliberately take all the traditional bands and put them on main stage in between acts.
Okay.
They took it out. Put a DJ playing the same set of music the bands are going to play. The identical songs the bands are going to play. And they put the traditional in the forecourt where people smoking rum and drinking whatever. Drinking rum and smoking whatever. That is how we cherish our experience. To give people an arty. I went to a festival once and I heard the theme for the VIP was some disco ball something. I said, what? Is it Creole we're referring to? Boss, we have to remember. We have 11 months of everything. This month was dedicated and nothing wrong. And I want to repeat, nothing wrong with bouillon during independence time. Nothing wrong. But the contemporary should stifle the traditional during the only time dedicated for the traditional. That's the only time. People will tell you you're mad if you play traditional any other time of the year. If somebody here is shipping in May, they have to say you're mad. Either for Christmas, either for Lent.
Prince, I want to ask Gordon if because I know it's late. I mean, it's early but late for Gordon. Perhaps he has to do his exercise early morning. So Gordon, I don't know if you want to be excused at this time or you're able to stay with us because of the time zone difference.
My man, this is your second allusion. About my age. If you want me to walk out, I walk out.
No. I think I saw
The
you.
first thing you said, I should be granted 45 minutes. Can I hold up more? Wadix, who is sitting there, has been within the last 12 months seen me perform one at the 53rd edition, 53rd, not the 25th, of the Fort de France Cultural Festival with the same Dominican team that I am booked to perform. And it was not 45 minutes. Okay? Recently, I did some kind of a duel with
Simon Girard. Simon Girard.
Wadix was there to see. So if you think, I don't know, these kinds of questions, I don't like them. If you want me to walk out, I will. Huh?
No, sir.
No, Gordon. I don't think Miguel meant it.
That, yes.
I don't think Miguel meant it in
But
any.
I don't understand that.
I don't think Miguel meant it in any demeaning way. I just felt he asked to put a little humor. I don't think he meant.
No, it's not that. I mean, no, but Gordon, I find there's no reason to behave like that. We're having a civil discussion. I'm looking at you on the screen. I understand the the time zone different. So I'm seeing that you know you looked a little like you needed a little rest. So I'm just asking him.
Miguel, to answer Gordon wouldn't answer that. It's normal, and if Gordon agrees to come on an interview, Gordon prepare. He said he slept, so he prepares. Gordon prepare for everything.
But what is Gordon talking about walking out? What is that? What nonsense is that?
Let's move on, Dr. Miguel.
Let's move on, Miguel.
What ridiculous thing? What
let's
example
move
are you
on,
setting?
Dr. Miguel. Sobers is there. You have not Sobers a second question yet.
Jesus Christ.
Let's move on, Dr. Miguel. Let's move
on.
on.
And that discussion is real as it gets. That's what it is. You're keeping it real, Wadix. I'm keeping it real too. That's what it is. All right, let's continue. I'm Wadix. I wanted to ask you to quickly. Whatever happened to Gordon, you were saying something. Gordon, you were saying something.
I am up for the day. I have slept.
Yeah, Gordon
I
does
should
that
be
all the
taking
time.
a
He does that all the time, Mix. He does that
Okay.
all the time. Whenever he have an interview, any appointment, he prepares.
Gordon,
But
I'm saying, I'm looking at the screen, so that's why I had to.
No,
so I'm just asking
he's
him
all right. He's
respectfully.
okay. Gordon is okay.
Gordon, we do that every year. We have a conversation on the World Music Festival, and 9 out of 10 times, Gordon is always present on those.
Tell him about the early days.
Not even early days.
Recently.
No,
but the early days we should almost day break.
Yeah,
Early days we should be all night, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, but you have
that is not the time to be overly sensitive for nothing, right? And I'm not in that. I'm not in that. Straight. All right. Yeah, Prince, I was asking, in the earlier years, there were Sukus and Zydeco and this kind of thing. Whatever happened to these things?
Well, you'll have to ask Ayodele, because I believe this year, honestly, this year was a very good year.
Yes.
In the 25th anniversary, you know, to bring back some of the elements that excelled, that were showcased. I mentioned all the genres that were showcased, and I believe we had space to at least. And you see, one of the things you have to understand, Zydeco is Louisiana. Louisiana is America. Zydeco music is almost international. You know, and when we talk about international music, Zydeco, Louisiana have a festival around this. I mean, their festival is coinciding with Mardi Gras, Dimanche Gras, same time of our carnival. And this is a big, I mean, almost millions of people attend this festival. And one must also remember that before the inception of Creole Day, and I want to bring in the Creole connection, Felix Anderson, Jamala, Gregory, and a couple of other people went to Louisiana. And that was when...
Banzil Creole.
Banzil Creole, right? And when they came back, that is when the Journée Creole was actually created. So Dominica was the first place to ever host the Journée Creole. And we have the Journée Creole all over now. Dominica has always led. And then whilst we are doing that, we need to understand, we need to celebrate a holistic. The link from the enslaved, the main link is the language. We just had a critical consultation where we could understand everyone. So Buzz would tell you in the beginning, we could understand everybody. Because our Creole may not be the same way like our English is not the same like Marigot. And we also speak a Dominican English. There is a Dominican English and there is a Queen English, you know. But some boy last night, I dick a little thing. That's not Queen English. No, but that is English.
So how do you translate that? Translate that for me.
Mash up. But then we have a Dominican Creole and we also have the English Creole. So there's also a difference in the
vernacular.
The vernacular. There's also a difference with the Haitian Creole. We listen to the Trinidadian Creole, and if the guy didn't say it was Trinidadian Creole, you could swear it's three Dominicans speaking, having a conversation. Identical Creole with us, Trinidad.
Prince, I wanna shift from that. You made an assumption, an allegation, a suggestion earlier that Kadaslipso will be on, or is expected to be on before 11, before midnight.
12, before midnight.
Before midnight.
On the first 3 nights.
Okay. But the schedule,
on the 3 nights, sorry.
The schedule has not yet been released, Ayo. The schedule of performance is not yet released, right?
No, it hasn't.
No, but then the history of the 24 years, that is how it has been, you know. You see the 24 years? That is how it has been. If anything changes because of tonight. But I can guarantee you, not only Kadaslipso, but all the Franco Creole bands they give them the early to start off. I came once and Skasha was the band started. Cubano crying, nobody inside the stadium. That's what we do to our Franco Creole bands. Now I haven't got, even to me, I wouldn't always have Triple K on a Friday and Asa on a Saturday. I would interchange. I wouldn't always have them ending. I would give them some of the limelight where they can get the camera coverage. You know, I would give, because Matthew, by 4 or 5 o'clock, I've been seeing it every year. The cameramen go and sleep. So the coverage, and I've been seeing the videography. I've been privileged to see the videography earlier in the night. It is to the point. But by 3, 4 o'clock, you could see the cameramen are getting tired. And if the bouillon is to the world, at some point in time you can flex it. Give them a 3 o'clock instead of a 7, 8 o'clock. You know, you can mix it up. You understand where I'm coming from? And if so-called bands we pay millions of dollars for, we can put them 4 o'clock and 5. We pay millions of dollars for them.
I want to go to Ayo and ask, in terms of the mix or the lineup, putting the lineup together on the different days, is the intention to sort of attract everybody on every night to encourage the patrons to all buy their season ticket? Because one may look and say, hey, Saturday night, Vibes Cartel, there's Ophelia. I don't want to call...
Gordon is on.
Gordon is on, all right?
Akram is on.
Right. So, don't you think that, well, I guess not, but some may feel it's probably an injustice to the Vibes Cartel fans or Ophelia fans, probably the way it's mixed. Because if you look at other festivals, for example, say Sumfest in Jamaica, I think they have like a reggae night, and then there's a dancehall night, there's the international. So hasn't there been any discussion to say, okay, let you sort of categorize the genres, kind of shape things differently, where Friday you keep things a certain way, a certain feel?
Our festival will be different.
Uh-huh.
Our festival, I would say category, our festival is different. And because there are moods to the type of music that we attract at our festival. You try to bring the more hypey music towards the end so that people can stay, because the festival is geared towards finishing about 6, 7. And that happened from one of the things that we advertise when we go out there is the daybreak. Some people may not like it, because we have had several conversations about trying to close earlier and have after parties. But we started like that, kind of, and it has worked. So it will be difficult now in the 25th year to try to end the festival earlier. So you try to put some of the more hypey bands. The younger people would prefer their bands set kind of as late as possible. So some of them would go sleep early, like Gordon, and get up and come about 12. So
well, you will make your reference about Gordon. I will call him Gordon.
I am the same. I am the same like Gordon. Yeah. Before I came here to take a nap.
Right.
Before I came here, when you messaged me, I was taking a nap, so I could prepare for here.
Me too.
So when I come here, you can't tell me go and sleep again, because I slept already, like Gordon.
And drink your water.
And I have my water. but then you see, sometimes you mix, because even last year we had the Afrobeat guy, somewhere about 3, 4.
Didn't work.
And it could not work.
Yeah.
Why it could not work? And by the way, wherever you are placed in a festival, you have to live up to your name, because you have been paid. Because you have been paid. So if you have been paid bigger sums than the Triple Ks, you have to live up.
I guess they may look at it, on the point that, hey, say, are you referring to Wizkid, right?
Wizkid, yeah.
Right, so Wizkid is a major act. People may stay for Wizkid, but then it's not necessarily the right mood. For the time.
For the time.
Because these things are about moods and timing.
That's what I said. The genre you put later might have people a little sleepy. And that's exactly what I'm doing with Wizkid. I know Wizkid is a very good performer. But then it couldn't work in Dominica, mainly because by that time people wanted to step up. I think it was after the Marley Brothers. The Marley Brothers had a phenomenon, and then it just kind of went down when it was Wizkid. Now Wizkid would be a performer to have early, because his music is more or less love, R&B, the new type of Afro.
So as you're on that, how do we, Ayodele, you may give it a go, or Sobers, how do we encourage people to come early? Because you travel overseas in major countries where, for some, I know some shows, you have no entry by a certain time or after a certain time. Everybody's at the venue, but I guess it's maybe a Caribbean culture thing or a Dominican thing, maybe a Caribbean culture. Where we feel we want to make a grand entrance. Nobody wants to be the first in the venue.
Except the French.
Yeah, it's just a different culture.
But the French culture now is to come early and take it as much as possible and go and sleep on the stands. Now the Dominican culture would come a little later because they know they're going straight for the daybreak. So then you have two dynamics, and if there are good, powerful bands that most of the audience know their repertoire, everybody will converge.
Okay, so Ayodele, you would you agree to the suggestion that say on a Saturday night we will not see Vibes Cartel before midnight, and we're going to have Kadas Lipso definitely before midnight, as Wadix mentioned.
Okay, that's 11:30, 12:30.
But Ayodele, I need you to
that's
say
nice
something,
time.
you know.
Wadix is speaking, Wadix not.
No, I need you to.
Speak.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Ayo,
Ayo,
go ahead, Ayo.
Well, I mean, as you all know, this year we have 45 artists on the lineup, and it's the same amount of time, but a lot more artists and a lot. We've been working on the run sheet. We've had different versions. We've gone around with it, and we are still fine tuning it because we believe in giving. I mean, and it's not a one person. There's a team, and we have people on the team who has had many years of experience with the festival. And just looking at, you know, what the experience we want to offer for the festival, and also the expectations of people, and where we can have some surprises as well for people that still has to work to match. Just what Wadix was saying, there are some people who will come later, and then, you know, after 2 a.m. you need to keep up the energy. So these are some of the things that, you know, we have to bear in mind with, you know, fine-tuning the lineup. But
I to all respect to her, I have been around the festival like Subas. You try to have, because the way you go to waste time is the turnover. Look at what crew you have, as long as you have one stage, you're going to get problem. If you have a rotating stage or possibly two separate stages, then you can be okay. But then to try to jam 8-9 changeovers on one night, you're setting up yourself. And I think, you know, sometimes in the future, I think we should look at a maximum number for any one night. If you have an artist, you could possibly with all stars, like what you're doing for, let's say, the Bouillon section, some of the Bouillon section. But to have like 8 and 9 band changeovers, because the same way the cameramen get fatigued, the sound guys, the guys that do the rotation, like your guy Medve, the late, they get tired too. Now, Miguel would know, but then what happens is by 3-4 o'clock, these guys, after they rush and try and organize everything before, by 3-4 o'clock they're getting tired. So they start to get slower and slower and slower. So the more bands you add to any nice lineup, you put yourself at the risk of going real late. And now there are patrons that came in from, let's say, 8:30, and, you know, they want to enjoy a particular band that may be towards the end. Let's say somebody they come for Triple K and they came in around 10 o'clock. And there are so many bands lined up that the changeover may take Triple K 7-8 o'clock. But how does it feel for Triple K to start a jam 7-8 o'clock? And then what about your crew that have to come the next day to set up?
Well, can I tell you what we've done to address that? This year we've expanded the crew. So we have a rotating crew that's doing shifts to work this. Because this year the festival is much grander than it's
Yes,
been.
but then
And
you
I
have to
said
also
the
take into
number of
consideration the patrons. Can the patrons stay from 8 o'clock in the night to to 8 o'clock next morning.
But they do it. That's what they do.
No. We hardly ever in the history of the festival, we hardly ever finish a festival at 8 o'clock in the morning.
We are working within the same time frames that we have worked with. That's what we're doing. What we're doing is starting earlier. So gates open earlier. So on Friday, the gates open at 6. On Saturday, we open at 5.
And the show starts at what time?
Starts earlier.
The show starts at what time?
Friday gates open at 6.
Yes.
At 6.
And show starts at?
Guess.
No, tell us. Give us the information. No, because the information you're giving going to make news tomorrow. Because we are not aware. I am not aware what time
we will be publishing that information tomorrow. Because again, in reviewing and revisiting, we will be publishing that. We have a press conference tomorrow, so you can tune in to the press conference. There will be a press release, and we will have all the information circulating. That is all on every day. The show will start earlier, because after doing the review, we see that is.
But just remember too, the earlier the show starts, is the longer duration the patrons have to stay. Just always remember that. You know, always remember that. The earlier you start with the long lineup, is the longer you would respect your patrons.
Well, I do believe anybody who's committed to come into this festival and see that there are 45 artists, they would know that this is going to be some long nights for the festival. Anybody who has committed to that, when you with looking at the lineup. So I say when you get to Dominica, make sure you get your coconut water, eat fresh fruits, vegetables, get your vitamin C in, bathe in a refreshing river, get your river bath, and manger local, boire local, ever chepe for.
Yes, that is it. Sobers from 97 to 2024, based on the statistics and your studies, have the numbers fluctuated? Has it been an upward trend? Do we see an increase in visitors every year? What do the stats show?
Yeah, that's a nice question, Ayo, right?
Yeah.
Because one of the things we want to we are planning to do, we are trying to do this year, is to do the measurement of the festival. But we're having some challenges in trying to do that. But I would say on the surface, the festival has grown exponentially since 1997. And that is one of the reasons why we say this is a brand, a growing brand, a dynamic brand, because we recognize the value of, people recognize the value of the brand, that's one thing, and the brand is growing. It's attracting more and more patrons into the festival arena, and of course, it's giving Dominica greater visibility. Clearly, one of the things we want to do on a more consistent basis, we haven't done it, is to measure the festival. We need to be doing that. That is to say, measure the numbers, measure the visitor spend, measure the impact. Clearly, so we want to do that this year. We're still having some challenges in trying to do that. If not this year, but DDA and DFC will be doing some exit surveys. Yeah, so we're doing some exit surveys, so we'll get a sense of what the numbers are. But we want to do a more scientific measurement of the festival, and so we're trying to mobilize a team, local and regional, to do that measurement of the festival. So going forward.
No, we're happy when, we can boast of X amount of visitors, thousands of people on the island, the place fully packed, full, everything like that. But then, there are certain challenges we've been able to circumvent around, say, the access with, the additional flights now, it's better access, etc. But then you still have certain challenges. Again, people probably wanting to get a taxi, get rentals, get food, the hotel accommodation, the flow of traffic, parking in the city, all these things. How do we move? Because it's not just about having so many people, but then giving them an experience.
A total experience.
Services have to be, we have to provide the conveniences, even digital purchases and all that. People go around, they accept card, this and all those kind of things. Speak on that a bit.
There's a few things we've done with working with stakeholders on this. One of the things in terms of accommodation and transportation, We have reached out, like one of the things we did is share my space, which we've encouraged, and we actually have had a number of persons register for this, where people have apartments or houses or a little villa or even an extra room in their home, and that's on our website, and a lot of people have been utilizing that to book accommodation. With the transportation, we've asked people to register there as like the cabby service, which is kind of like a Uber service, and so you register and your number is on the website. So people looking for transportation, and these cabbies are available pretty much 24/7. You can find one. You'll be able to find one at any time. It was done previously last year. It worked very well for a number of persons, and we think this year it will work even better. And then with the service industry, especially for the food and beverage, bars and restaurant, we have been encouraging people to stay open longer, have their staff on shift, because imagine like you go to one of the restaurants in town on a regular busy Friday or so, and then by 2-3 o'clock lunch is done, just servicing the people who are there. So that's something we have been aware of. We have been engaging the stakeholders, taxi drivers, tour operators. A lot of tour operators are actually offering special tours again. That's on the website. So we've directed a lot of people to the website. We also have a concierge team at DDA that people are calling and emailing for information. So we are providing support for that. And we are also engaging. So it's twofold. We are sharing the information with potential visitors and people who are committed to coming to the festival, but we're also engaging the stakeholders to ensure that the required services are available, with the amenities for the people. And just so we do check the type of transportation. So, if you have a vehicle from 1979, it might be in good condition, but
of course,
we would check that the vehicle is a vehicle in good working order. You have to present your ID, the license, registration, and so on. And for the people in the property, our team actually goes out and physically inspect the properties to ensure that they are fit for accommodating persons.
All right.
So, and that's a service that with our small team, again, we are executing a lot. And I want to say something here that's not, specific festival. But, I'm not yet a year in at DDA. And I think a lot of people do not know the magnitude of work that the small team at DDA executes all year round, not just for the festival. Because the festival planning, Sobers and Wadix can tell you, it's not, it's not a few months. Really, festival plan, it's months. Ongoing
12 months.
every year, all day, all night. And there's various components that the marketing team has to do: product development, product promotions, the festivals team, and there is a lot of work that a team with a small team, limited capacity, limited resources, and the team really makes it work. And coming in, I have to say, I really appreciate the support that the team, the people who work, like Shana at the front desk, Marilyn, Charles, I'm going to be naming people, Makira and Liz and Cyrilla in marketing. Our IT guy, Jason John Jules, he goes over and beyond. I believe he's at work right now. But it's not only just because it's days before the festival. 2 weeks ago, he would have been at work longer. 3 weeks ago, he'd have been at work longer. We're doing all the accreditation. We're doing all the travel arrangements and all the changes and all the communications that needs to be done with every single person. We are ensuring that the venue is set up. And I want to say our CEO, Miss Marva Williams, who was once the festival and events manager herself, she has empirical knowledge of this festival and that she shares with the team every day. and keeps guiding us. So I do think this festival in particular, the festival experience, not just the production, this festival in particular, the experience is going to be one of the greatest, as it deserves, for 25 years for Dominica. We've been communicating with our vendors and our service providers. I guarantee you, even as a Dominican who's here, you're going to see and feel and live through a great experience for the festival.
Yeah. So, but any talks of you're about to?
Yeah, I was about to say So here's the thing. So when we started this journey 30 years ago, all right, it wasn't just about doing a festival. Yeah, we can recognize that it was more than putting on an event, a single event. Or even if we were doing multiple events, it doesn't just doing the event. That we had to recognize the wider festival ecosystem, and we need to strengthen every aspect of it. We spent a lot of time earlier on talking about the music side, the artists, working with the artists. That is a major part of the ecosystem that we have to strengthen and to build, and we still have more work to do on that, as you recognize from the conversation we've been having. On the tourism side, there's still work we have to do. And Ayo spoke about some of the stakeholders, because the DFC alone cannot do a festival of that size. It cannot happen. It is a truth that we need to have various stakeholders engaged, included. They must be involved in this whole process of creating and building a festival tourism sector. This is what we started doing from 1997. We are building as a part of the tourism industry a festival tourism subsector. So the journey is still on, and there are many parts to this thing that we have to work on continuously to improve, to enhance, and to make sure that we become more competitive. So when we say about this festival is so great and so on, it's because we're trying to do all of those things. The music is one part, the service part, the transportation,
of course,
the IT, and the food and beverage, and all of those things. We have to continuously work on that. So the DDA, and not DFCA, the DDA, the Discover Dominica Authority, as the leader in tourism development in Dominica, and the Ministry of Tourism.
The DDA is responsible
for tourism development,
marketing, and promotion.
Yes, yeah. So we have as a responsibility to take on this critical aspect of our tourism development, which is festival tourism, and to work with our partners, to work with stakeholders over as we go along, and to continuously build on it. Because if we drop the ball in one area, one aspect of the ecosystem, you know what can happen? We lose out.
So, but any talks over the years, any options, discussion on the table for privatizing the production of the festival?
Yeah, there used to be some conversations about that at one time, but that didn't go very far, and for a number of reasons. But I mean, we could spend the next day here talking about that. But
because many major festivals in the world are produced by private promoters and companies and business people.
And it happens on both sides. There are many big festivals that are privately owned, and there are many big festivals in the Caribbean as well that are produced by governments, by the public sector. From very early, we recognize that this would be what we call a loss leader. In other words, we recognize that we're not going to make a profit from the gate. It was the impact on the overall economy that was what is going to make the festival work. And from the beginning of the festival, the impact was great, and that's why I don't want to use numbers, but we had, in terms of the return on investment, was high for a festival of that kind, and we want to ensure we maintain that level, because the return on investment has to be beneficial to everybody. So if the state is going to put in X amount of money, we want to see Y amount coming out of it as a result of it.
It's an economic driver.
So it is a major economic driver for the country. And in our case, because we have a small economy, a small country, it is preferable to have the state be the leader in this thing. But as I say, it happens on both sides. So you see St. Lucia, you see Antigua, you see St. Kitts and so and many countries, the public sector is involved, but you also have some festival models where it is private sector driven, but the state plays a major role in these festivals as well.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so we can have a hybrid. We can have a hybrid as well.
No, I mean, over the years, some festivals have come and gone. I mean, they sent, like Barbados used to have a jazz festival. I think
Yeah.
they don't have that anymore.
No.
Also, Sunsplash, I think, ceased to exist, and then Sumfest came
Sumfest,
about.
yeah.
Yes, we're making 25, but what do we do? It is a small economy, indeed. And yes, we attract thousands on island. Dominica is a small economy. What do we, and now, I mean, the cost of entertainment, especially after COVID, as somebody involved in the industry, I don't know if artists or entertainers felt, let me make all I can before the world locks down again. I don't know. I don't know why, but cost of entertainment in many areas have doubled, tripled, quadrupled. Maybe not from our Dominican acts, but
No,
yeah.
they should.
So I don't know. I mean,
Yes.
can we even sustain that? Because look at other major festivals in larger economies have come and gone. What do we do, even not from a preservation standpoint, but from a financial standpoint, to keep ourselves safe? Sobers, you could give that a go. Also, Gordon, you could give that a go. Yeah, we good, Gordon?
Good, always.
All right.
I
Excellent.
just
Yeah, let's go on and go. Let's go and go that. Let's go and go that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gordon. Yeah, from a financial standpoint.
I think that the World Creole Music Festival has a great future if we analyze that. For example, you made reference to reggae. What is it called?
Sunsplash.
Right.
It's some fest now.
Sumfest
It's some
now.
fest now.
Well, it's a different
New
festival.
festival.
Right.
Yeah.
This is something completely different. But I trust that you're aware that Reggae Sunsplash was not a Jamaican
Entity.
endeavor.
Okay.
It was Americans doing their thing in Jamaica. And there's a whole history about how that came about. The Dominican World Creole Music Festival, I don't know what it is like today, but there's a lot of, since we like to make reference to our Creole language, there's a lot of kudme
Yeah.
in this thing.
Yes.
And even the people that are employed, they are maybe 90% of their employment is kudme. I think that after the festival, almost everybody from the DFC, when it was a commission, and those from the DDA working should go on a 2-week vacation somewhere.
We wish. We would
Because I have
love to.
seen in the years when I was on the ground. So that is one of the most important elements when considering the viability and the profitability of the World Creole Music Festival as compared to other festivals in the Caribbean. So I think it's a very profitable, it's bankable.
Gordon, that same reggae Sumfest, at some point I think is in, not Sumfest, sorry, Sunsplash,
Right.
somewhere in the mid 80s, I think in 1985, they had an international showcase. I think it was in London. I think even Burning Flames was on the cards. Prince Wadix should probably know that. Do you think that is something that we could try in terms of our expansion, say taking that our product, the WCMF, into another market, say in Paris, something like that? Do you think that is something that could work out or we could explore?
I think this is something that can be considered because Wadix will tell you, Sobas as well, that from the first year we've been saying we cannot take the world to our festival because at the time we had 1 or 2 hotel rooms in the entire island. Few taxis, restaurants were closed on Sunday, and so we couldn't take the world to our festival. We couldn't accommodate them. But we were thinking of taking the festival to the world. And this is what Reggae Sunsplash they attempted. Now, we are in a phase of development in Dominica where we're in the middle of setting up what we like the word international, and sometimes we use international when we mean global, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like Triple K then, like Triple K.
Is Triple K international or global?
Global.
Geoffrey, which is it? Can we vote everything?
Global.
Geoffrey doesn't know.
Because now I
Yeah, I
confuse
think
the
they're more
meanings.
global than international. Do you
Google
have any other national than Dominican in the group? Anyway, what I was saying is the international airport and many five-star hotels built and in construction, we can attempt to bring the world to our festival. But I should say, and I hate always to make reference to history, because the year that the Reggae Boys were in the World Cup, Football World Cup, it happened in France.
98.
Yeah, we organized a mini festival in Paris because most of the artists at the time resided in Paris, Kassav, and this Congolese guy was whining on the stage.
Sakis.
And all these people, and we invited the press, and we made a profit. We made a profit. I happen to have some of the accounts, and we sent money into the treasury of the commission. So I always think I have discussed on numerous occasions with Wadix about taking a mini World Creole Music Festival to places like Paris. And why Paris? Because Martinique and Guadeloupe, these are our major tourists. Not only for festival, they visit Dominica, they spend money, they stay for short periods. But the largest population of Martinicans and Guadeloupeans live in Paris. They're larger than Martinique and Guadeloupe combined. And well, it's too long to give details. These are things that we should be talking about on a round table, not necessarily on radio. And this is why it's important that the World Creole Music Festival should be advertising on Tropic FM and Espace FM, the two radio stations that target that community. And we can bring more of them to our festival. That's A. And B, we can bring some of the festival to them and give them 45 minutes, not the whole thing. So after they've tested that, then they will come down to have the full dish. You know, like them taste our little sancoch and bouillon.
Yeah. Ayo, what do you think about the festival over the past few years, especially the past a little before COVID and post-COVID, that has been attracting visitors or patrons from the other islands? As Gordon said, you know, and we always hear from Wadix and Sobers, Guadeloupe and market, a huge part, you know, huge market share. But then over the years, we've been seeing the other flags. We're seeing the other flags now. We're seeing more people from Barbados and St. Vincent and St. Lucia. Well, you know, Lucia always there. What do you think it is that has been bringing this people?
Well, what I can say, as someone who's lived most of my adult life out of Dominica in many different places, and especially within the Caribbean, the truth is the festival is the festival experience as a whole, as I said earlier. And people always feel that they're guaranteed. That's why people book in advance people don't wait to find out the lineup to book for the festival. And that's been happening at least, I would say, maybe for the last 15 years. And even after when it started, I experienced the first Korea Music Festival. Literally right after the festival, I moved to Canada. But I know that, and my family took in some people who slept on our couch, by the way. But the buzz, I remember after the festival, there were people who were like, especially from St. Lucia, Antigua, Guadeloupe, Martinique, those places. People are saying, that was after the first festival, they are booking for next year before they left Dominica so that they would have a place to stay when they came. And that was in the first year of the festival, and I do recall that. And that continues to be the trend, and even more and more. So people would book earlier. Now there are people who are actually booking 2 years in advance. I know some people who have booked for 2027.
Okay.
They book for 2027. And there are people who like, oh, they should just book for the 30th year.
Yes,
Yes. So that is, I think that's just the festival, how the festival had made itself. And what the artists, people say there's always something for everybody. So no matter where in the world you come from, there is something for everybody in terms of the music experience and the performances. I've also heard people say, and I've seen it for myself, so some artists I have seen in other countries, and then when I see them in Dominica, I'm like, because the artists, when they're coming to perform at Korean Music Festival, they bring, like Geoffrey was saying, they raise the bar for their performance. I sure Gordon would agree with me on that. They raise the bar for their performance when they know it's the World Korean Music Festival that they're going to be performing at, because every single performance is top tier. And that's why we've had a few artists who've come, and based on where they are, like we had Whiskey and maybe some of the Afrobeat artists, because it's a different, if they think, some people might think, oh, I'm coming to a Caribbean festival, and then they're hit with, what they need to deliver. There's some artists who, I've engaged with, even like the Mali brothers. They were like, they're coming to perform at festival. Like, they were very conscious about how they were going to deliver that performance on that stage, because it's treated as a global stage, the World Korean Music Festival. And there are artists I know who would, if I were to show you our inboxes, we have requests from not hundreds but thousands of artists who are sending their portfolios, and like there's and among that, even from agents who represent top artists who want to perform at the World Korean Music Festival,
including local artists, of course, I would imagine. Or you're referring to just the foreign-based
our
artists?
Dominican artists no longer need to advocate for them to be in the Korean Music Festival. I believe the festival has evolved to ensure that Dominican artists always have a place.
I want to ask you something about the online streaming, but before that, Ayo, I'm going to ask Geoffrey and then even Gordon Henderson. Geoffrey, have you guys seized the opportunity, and is that something you would encourage other acts to do, to say produce a live album, live from your sets, because I think with sometimes artists do that and even go on to sell a live album itself. So is that something, I mean, these days with the internet, is just put it out on YouTube and it's like promotion, in a sense. But is that something you think that could be tapped into, where musicians use that platform, use that stage to produce and even sell live albums? Although these days, again, with the internet, it's probably difficult to sell, and you choose to put it out there for free.
So Miguel, what you saying? You never listen to a TK live?
I have listened to a TK live. I'm asking.
I'm teasing you because I mean TK live is
different.
Yeah, man.
Right. So one of the things with that, Miguel, is that the festival, I think, is at a standard where, if you probably liken to the reggae artists, and you realize that they would put out a live album, a live production, and say, this is us live at Rotterdam, because they value that performance in that particular location, for that. I think the artists generally would love for that to happen. You understand? We attempted a couple years ago, and even to that extent, I want to kind of roll back a bit to actually highlight the fact that I believe that the core team within the festival, and probably the people who actually able to make the decisions, I have seen the evolution of that over the years, because I've been around for some time, and I can boldfacedly say that I think that we are now getting a group that really understands how I think the entire thing's supposed to come together. You understand? I think before, there were a lot of the potential was there. I think from all different aspects, we as musicians, the general public and so on, as you're rightfully saying, how do we cater for an entire product for the country? Because people come in and they want all the amenities to follow with that festival. How do we cater for that? I don't think that conversation really took flight, as now probably Ayo is saying, that they engage with the stakeholders on that level. I don't know if it was done before, but to actually, on that sort of level where you would recognize that the people that are there understand in a global sense, and I'm glad that God was able to send me to Google to understand the difference between global and international. I didn't know about that. So thanks for the lesson. But I could actually see it. There were a lot of things that we were trying to do at the time, back then, and we would come to the festival's office to make requests, to speak, to give our ideas on how we figure. Because the thing about it is, we were fortunate enough to have traveled to many festivals, back in the day especially, and it's continuing right now. And we have been able to experience how these festivals are put together, the different elements that come together to form the festival for it to have that real impact that you're looking for. And we were like, all right, we're seeing it. Let's go down and bring that information, and let's see how we can work together to build it up.
Geoffrey, going back to the direct question, because I know I think Signal was released a live from the festival from last year before.
Right.
Do you as TK have any lives from the Creole festival?
Right. So we have. Right, so I was coming to that, because what I wanted to say was we wanted to actually produce those content, that particular content. So that's why I'm looking at the timing. When this was actually brought about, we had to obviously do it in conjunction together with the festival's committee, right? Because that was the arrangement at the time. And at the time, the content was held tightly. The video content of our performances, we actually, on numerous occasions, wrote emails, sent letters, all kind of things to request our video content in order for us to do that.
But you had your audio.
The audio still was not available.
Okay.
Because the audio recordings were actually done officially.
Okay.
So if we wanted something, we would have done something on basically a bootleg. You understand? Now you have different platforms where you're able to now just put a stick inside a mixer board and stuff will be recorded. You understand? So the opportunity is there for that to happen right now in terms of just an audio. But in terms of getting an official production done, from the current master and so on, from the set, it was very difficult, So that's what I'm saying now. I have seen the evolution where these things are able to happen, and I think the team that's there now understands the importance of those kind of things, because you can use those things now for better marketing. You understand? And you cannot take away the importance of marketing, both from and especially right now in the social media age. I think the expansion of the festival right now, and the flood that we are getting in with people for Creole Festival, for Carnival, and all other festivals and so on, is really because of the customer experience that they're able to individually share. So people want to be a part of that.
Geoffrey, I'm gonna go to Gordon. Gordon, your take on that in terms of production of a live audio, visual, and then if you could segue into the whole aspect of the what I would say the live streaming, because I've observed, maybe not all festivals, but many of the festivals are live streamed and available for viewing for free. That is not the case with the World Creole Music Festival. Probably you could speak to us a bit on that in terms of the rights and the contracts and all these things, and why it is that other islands can do it and we have not been able to do it, and you could probably speak on it a bit too. Yes, Gordon.
This is a very capital question that you're asking on many respects. Because the music industry, in terms of sales, you will know it has moved away from selling CDs or whatever formats, and you sell music, by streaming. Some artists prefer to give it for free, and they will depend on views, and each view will represent something that will make them have a larger audience to be able to book themselves at larger fees. Now, we haven't got much time to discuss this salient question of yours. But you know, a festival like the World Creole Music Festival that employs a number of professionals. When I say professionals, I'm talking about artists that are signed to publishing companies. That is with regards to the ownership of the music. They're signed to record companies. So they don't have the freedom to just say, okay, you can film and stream. The World Creole Music Festival cannot depend only on gate receipts. That's why I said that your question is a very valid question. One of the areas that the World Creole Music Festival, a revenue stream that can go beyond, because the stadium has a capacity of what, 10, 15,000 per night. So let's say we do very well and we attract 45,000 people. If we have contracts with all the artists and it is streamed in a professional way, we will reach much more than 45,000 people who will pay to watch the concert.
Sure.
Triple K International and some of the bouillon acts, they get over 1 million views. So this is something that the DDA, the DFC, need to sit and discuss and see the monetization of the streaming. Of course, if there are popular bands that, in addition to that, want to release CDs or USB, whatever, that is something else. But the streaming is the monetization of music today.
Yeah.
It's not about get receipts. Get receipts is almost a thing of the past. I went to a festival at my age, and in Mauritius, not too long ago. There were over 100,000 people. It's organized by the government, and nobody paid because they have other means of
generating income,
monetization. Well, that should be discussed in another forum, I think.
Yeah, and I suppose Gordon would have, sort of addressed everything from your end.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I wanna, as we're on music and CDs, in 1997 there was that commemorative CD, the Musicanu 98 and 99. So there were 3 versions, and that was produced by Imperial Publishing, Cornell, Eddie Angol, and the guys, Wadix and Sobers. I guess you could educate us more on that as to if that was endorsed by the DFC. I remember when these albums came out, it gave us that feel that the festival is on. Creole Festival is there. Independence is there. That just faded away. Poof. We haven't seen that. Even if years later there was a volume 4. Didn't quite catch on. But Wadik, speak a little bit on that as to what that did for the independence, the festival, the mood, the Jose Voye, that song, and importance of even having something, or why that could have been continued.
Well, firstly, it was the brainchild of Eddie Toulon,
Wow.
together with Cornell and Eddie Angol. Eddie Angol worked with Cornell very closely. And very importantly, Mikel and Elijah Benoit and later Martin Del Olivo, an integral part of the project. But what Eddie was thought of at the time is to have something around the festival that would have given the festival some flavor and brand new music. Because eventually we saw what happened to Jose and we saw what happened to Mikel's career. We saw what happened to Elijah in the first couple of years. And the idea was to have, later on in discussions with him, I remember we were in St. Croix and he was telling me what, like for instance, he was referring to the Jamaican compilation. You would see lots of reggae compilation with some of the best of Jamaican artists during those days. We would have the Strictly the Best and the several compilations.
Yeah.
And his vision then would have been to see how you could get other bands to be part, like sending a song or record a song to include going on further. But then he wanted to start it that particular way. So we would have, first of all, fresh music endorsed by the World Creole Music Festival. So it was a collaborative effort between Imperial Publishing and DFC. In terms of financial, I'm not sure how effective it was, but I know the impact on the audience was tremendous, because what we did in the second year is we made a road match out of Hosivo Emote, which had a nice independence feel to it. And it played throughout the festival, it played throughout the season. It is still played now. It's still been played. And right after the third edition, there seemed to have been some little issues in terms of Eddie and Eddie's tenure and migrating and moving on and moving back, that sort of thing. And that just fell through. But I mentioned that to the CEO earlier this year. That is something that we could have revisited. But I guess time and maybe resources, because I felt we could have approached some of the artists on the lineup this year and asked them to produce music for that compilation. So we would have a cross-section of, let's say, Kadas and Bouillon and the best of the big, like all the music we all know. The new CKs, the new whatever, and the new, most of the artists on the festival have produced new music, Signal, Triple K, Rio, I produced new music.
It could be a source of income generation.
But of course, of course.
Yeah.
I actually advise that it's a discussion you could have had with Mac Murray as to how you would share the dividends of that particular CD, but then you would have something that the visitor would live with a particular experience. First of all, it would have been monopolized during the festival because it would have been played by all the DJs throughout the night. And it would have a true Dominican flavor to it. And then a visitor could possibly take back a hard copy.
Yeah.
But then I guess the time and the resources, it didn't really cut on.
Because sometimes people want to feel like they have something, even if they can listen online on YouTube, but they want to feel like a collector's item, like a
very important in the early days. It was a lot of that type of branding. And we had, T-shirts and caps and mugs, so that you would have left with the experience. And that's why I keep saying it is important to recognize the founding members, because the founding members sacrificed a lot. Some of us didn't get $1, but we knew the country was going to benefit. And the memorabilia that these visitors took back spread the name. Gordon Anderson is very humble and noble, but he did something for Dominica that we are not even aware of. He brought French media. Now we were accustomed with our little DBS and Radio Antilles and maybe RCI. But he brought French media who take it to the million people. And like you said, the other millions in France, throughout Europe, Africa, and even America. That's where he brought the images and the sounds of the first few editions of the festival as overseas coordinator. And that is where the festival really went global. And then when guys like Jeff eventually came on, I spent an entire summer with Jeff promoting the festival. Jeff had 2 free gigs a night in Guadeloupe, and all he would talk about is Nukadesan, Nukadesan, Nukadesan. He would sing Nukadesan in Sukuya. And once I tell him, but what about Sukuya people? Just must dance on. He tell me, do not worry, man. It's the vibes. So there's a vibe that African people feel that he felt was very important. So that foundation was set, a solid foundation, which now we are reaping the dividends. It is a worldwide, a global brand. And like Gordon and Ayo say, some people, they are not even waiting for the lineup before they book until 2027 and 2030. Because they have guaranteed to get an experience that they will get no other place. It is different from St. Lucia Festival. It is different from I have seen performances. And one of the things we must take into consideration, a lot of the bands, when they come here, they change their repertoire. They would play more lovey and more mellow other places. But when they come, they play for swing because they understand Dominica audience like a swing.
Yeah, like the compa guys
Like
especially.
the compa guys. Carry Me noted for that.
Yeah.
They would come and they would play more of the up-tempo songs. When Marshall and these guys come, they would maybe play groovy all over the other places, but they would mix it up here. You will see a mix with Fayan and thing. With groovy and up-tempo, because if they come groovy alone, they know Dominica people like the up-tempo. And that is what artists do. They change to suit Dominica. And like Ayo said, up their game so that by the time our Dominican bands reach and sometimes surpass that level, the quality of the festival continues to rise.
Let me ask Geoffrey. I mean, the festival crowd comprises patrons from all over the world these days, but significant number Dominicans. Of course, we're here. Geoffrey, talk to us as a performer on stage. How easy, how difficult it is to please the Dominican crowd, because sometimes artists do their thing, they lip sync and all that, stand up and watch you and they play back, singing everything. I'm not talking about the beater. You're hearing artist songs and artists stand up there watching you and thing. I don't think that is a formula that goes down well with the Dominican crowd, Geoffrey.
Right. So I think it probably started way back, when the Dominican audience grew
Gordon is smiling.
Right. But the Dominican audience was used to that live feel, that live engagement where you can actually hear the instrumentation. You can actually get the energy in the performance itself. When you have something that's pre-programmed, it just coming out. But when you there performing and you start to perform, you give out your energy and the crowd receives it and sends back that energy for you. You're also going to be pushing out a different kind of engagement with the audience, you know what I mean? So I think that in itself is something that the musicians who come in, they feel of it, you know what I mean? And from Triple K standpoint, it's no different than all what Wadik said. We change for Creole Festival. You have to, it's not the ordinary, because we do our market research wherever we go, we go to, and obviously we know what Dominica is, but we know what the festival also is. So we know what we have to come to present for the festival. It's a large Dominican contingent, but it's also an opportunity again for you to showcase yourself on that stage. You understand? To the different people, to different audiences who may not probably even understand what you're doing. You understand? So you have to be able to tweak it in that manner. And the festival stage is one, and I can say that for a fact, just to add to what Ayu had said earlier. Everywhere we go, artists, young artists, older artists, all different musicians and so on, we come and ask you about Creole Festival. They come and say, hey, you have a number and I can call. They say, boy, send an email, but give me somebody direct now, or put a word in for me now, that kind of thing. People, we have no idea who they are. But, they're asking for that because they realize that when you hit that particular stage, particularly the Creole Festival stage, you're a step up. You understand? So it gives you that elevation. So I think that, we have to recognize and appreciate how many years ago you said? 30 years ago? The vision that was there and what it has manifested itself into right now. And we are blessed right now to be within that space to enjoy the benefits of it.
Ayo, how much engagement you have with artists, especially the foreign acts, in terms of their market research on Dominica, not only as a destination, but the culture, the music itself. I remember some years ago when Wyclef came, I think the second time, the agent Brad from Caribbean Entertainment called me and said he wants to just hook me up with Wyclef. Wyclef wants to do some research, and he was asking me about the popular songs at the time, of Dominica, and also the traditional. Wyclef actually, he was speaking one-on-one, and he asked me, he said he wants a traditional. And I gave him the Sifle Mutang, one of the songs. I also, at the time, Asa Bantan had a popular song, which I recommended. And I think he dropped that at the fest, and that was huge, well received. How much of that do you get and would want to encourage? At all?
I encourage as much as possible every single artist. And there are some artists who really look at their craft. So you will get those kinds of questions more from artists like that who really want to make that kind of impression. Mm-hmm. And you have various types of artists. There are artists who are more, they keep to themselves. They come to do their performance in whatever the space is. And just from again having worked at different festivals, we are getting inquiries. There's some artists who ask, Booyah music is in their face, really. Mm-hmm. Booyah music is in their face. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of them are asking about Booyah music. So I think you will see some interesting things as well at the festival. But I will say something to what you asked, Geoffrey. One of the things I will say for Creole music in general, Creole music all over the world, from La Reunion to Congo, Dominica, Guadeloupe, Martinique, Creole music stands out and has a drive. You will find Creole music, people who don't understand or speak Creole music or even hearing it for the first time, and I have seen this, I've played Creole music for people who have never heard it, and they get into it. There's something about the musicianship, is that correct?
Yeah.
In Creole music, that is, and the passion that comes with it. And I think, so the Creole crowd, that's why we get so many people, Guadeloupe, Martinique, and St. Lucia in particular. We love, I don't know if there's people who love live music more than us. We love that feeling of seeing everything live and knowing it's happening live. I don't listen to Booyah all the time, I have a mood for Booyah. But when I'm out, TK, Asa, and any one of the Booyah bands on the stage, I feel like I want to be on the stage. Like, it's not even so much about what they play, it's just the vibe. Like, you feel like and what he was saying, you start giving that energy to that. And I've seen, it's very interesting to also see the Dominicans bands in other places. Last year I had the view from the stage with TK and Asa Banton from one of the biggest carnival fetes in Antigua. And I was asking, but they charm these people, man. It just the way people were responding. And you could see some people, it was their first experience. They probably didn't even know some of the songs of TK or Asa Banton. Or maybe it was their first time seeing them. But when you looked at the crowd, they were into that groove. Geoffrey I could have tell them stand up on their head, turn anything, and they would do it.
Yeah, and it's Geoffrey that have to say that, not even Benji. Geoffrey and
from behind the keyboard.
What did he say? But he had a favorite thing, there's a favorite one from Geoffrey, playing in some jam in New York. It was. Yeah.
Really?
Somebody was checking him when he was playing on stage.
Oh, in Granby. That was in Granby.
Breakfast fed.
Yeah.
I don't tease Geoffrey.
I want to add something that we intentionally did in the early days. Is myself and Eddie would personally meet each band. I'm not sure how Eddie would get time for that, but they would personally meet each band, go to their hotel, and a lot of the Creole bands, the Magnums, the whatever, in the early days we had Alan Cavey and Zay and these groups, and would tell them of the songs that would hit a Dominican crowd. Because like I said, it is different when these Haitian bands play for a Haitian crowd or even a Franco crowd in Guadeloupe and Martinique or Miami crowd, and when you see they come in Dominica, they would have certain songs on their albums that would be more suited for Dominica. So what we would have done those days is to actually go visit them in their hotel, talk to their managers. I would have brought a list to Eddie and we would give them the list of the most played songs. I remember once Steve Ice came and when we told them about MVP Compa, they said, but that's a song so long.
Wow.
The song originally done by Wyclef, they changed into Compa. And when they actually played it on stage, it's like they were so amazed. And because they came with a repertoire that was more groovy, more lovey. And then we told them, nah, you have to step it up. So I gave them a whole set of songs that were more quicker, the more Shiwe Compa. And then they really got the feel of it. Same thing happened to Top Vice in Pottersville. And they even went into Rara. Top Vice even went into Rara. And Lennox Linton is still talking about that thing where a compa band was playing carnival music. The same carnival music they play in New York, in New York City. Top Vice came to Pottersville 7 and played that. And you would swear it's a Dominican carnival vibes. You understand? And that is what the kind of connection it is very important to have with those bands. Because a Dominican crowd, like certain big artists that come, they will watch you. And they will just watch you and just don't move. Regardless of how big you are, if you cannot resonate with them.
Yeah, exactly.
And we know it. So sometimes it is very important to tell them what are the songs that will resonate with a Dominican crowd, even before they come. Yeah. So that personal connection, they already have it.
You mentioned Pottersville, Savannah. The festival started at the back of
Grammar
the
School,
BGS,
the Grammar School grounds,
Carnival
technical
City, right. Hosted on the Pottersville Savannah a few years. The Windsor Park Stadium has been the home for the festival
since 2007.
Since 2007. A brief take on that. Sobers, Gordon, Wadix. Do you think that it could possibly be decentralized? Do you think the festival could be hosted at, say, in Grand Bay and the Savannah, or somewhere in Portsmouth, somewhere else at different years?
It would be difficult because of the dynamics, the facilities.
You need facilities.
The facilities. First of all, the festival prep is a big thing. To get the necessary functional areas in order, to have to onset that from one night to the other, it's not going to work.
But
unless,
don't forget we have always promoted the idea of what we call fringe events.
Yes.
Right.
So and we see the emergence of that. Although a lot of them now tend to be in Roseau.
Right.
You know?
Which is a negative.
Right.
Because there used to be the Creole in the east.
So
Creole in the
that
north,
was the idea.
Creole in the south.
That decentralization I was talking about was to go out to the Grand Bays and to the La Plains and
Castle Bruce
and so on.
Field,
so John C and his group, they're doing Creole in the East at Twin Rivers in Rosalie this year. So that is going to happen. I think you guys are playing. Yeah, TK is playing on that. It's November the 1st. Yes, November the 1st. So Creole in the East is coming back. It's back this year. But that was the idea. So to have the smaller events, so it will have you may challenge in terms of the kinds of facilities. We did a big event on the Layo River. Yeah. You know, that was a massive event. I think there was one on the Roseau River.
Of course.
Yes, on the river bank. So there were many attempts to decentralize the festival by creating fringe events. And I think that's something that we have to go back to bring some of the music into the communities, but also to connect with the people. But I think also we have to bring, since Mr. Charles is there, I think we have to celebrate Dominican music. This thing about what do you say, Calypso Day or Calypso Month and Calypso thing and Bouillon Day and so on. I think we should have a time for us to celebrate Dominican music, but that's another conversation.
No, but I agree. It cannot be another conversation when we're talking independence.
Well, I see 10-15, so I don't know how much time
Let me
we
just get Gordon's take on that. Get Gordon's take on that. Gordon.
Yes.
You know, whenever I hear advertisement for the festival, and the venue is the Windsor Park Sports Stadium. It reminds me that we do not have an entertainment facility. although to me a stadium by definition in these days is
It's
sports.
sports.
So to me, the word sports is
Shouldn't
already
be. Yeah.
redundant.
It's a redundant
Oh,
concept, yeah.
But we're saying that the music festival is held at the sports stadium is a problem. One day when we will become bigger and richer, I think that we need facilities that are partially or completely covered. We know in the stadium, some of them in the center, there's a big hole.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah, because Dominica is a place of rivers and rain, water place.
We saw it today, Gordon.
And
Gordon, today it rained heavily.
yeah, and it might rain out, all the way down to the thing. And that is not unusual. We've had festivals where every night it was rain.
Yeah.
And
We had a festival where we had a storm.
Yeah,
We even
Thomas.
had a storm. I was there.
A storm.
You know? So eventually, we have to start thinking of having facilities for entertainment.
And I hate to come in there, but Dr. Miggs, I hate to talk about the first years, but this was one of the visions.
Well, you love to talk about it.
Well, I hate to actually bring it in, but when you get topics like this 25 years after, that was an initial vision. As a matter of fact, I can tell you, Oliver St. John was given the responsibility by Cheryl and Gregoire to look all over Dominica to look for a suited venue for just entertainment. So that was part of the vision in 1997. And someone was, because he was kind of more suited to that kind of work. Look wherever in Dominica you could get adequate land, flat land, to set up a venue. So that was always the vision, and by now
Gordon,
that had taken place.
Gordon, he's an ambassador now,
If that had taken place,
He's the ambassador now,
jump in because I think we haven't got a lot of time. Let me jump in and say something that we were thinking of.
Yeah.
And I really wish I could bring Miguel and everybody there to Reunion Island, where they love Dominican music more than anywhere else in the world, and their population is large enough to sustain. There is a theater, I forgot how they call it, but the way it's built, I always think that the cultural division place down in Canefield,
Old Mill.
the old mill, you notice that there's a hill, right?
Yes.
They have this open air theater, and it could be covered, where the hill is where you have all the seats. They have concrete seats on that huge hill,
Yeah.
and below you have the stage. And I find that can be an excellent place
Yeah.
for one of our entertainment venues, because the hill is there,
Yeah.
the little flat, because we like to talk about flat in the air, on the flat.
No, but Gordon, you see, you're right. I think we have to begin to think about what happens for the next 25 years. I think that's where you started. That the conversation has to go now.
Yes,
So we spend a lot of time, 2 hours, talking about what happened and what is happening. But I think we have to look at the future in a bold, visionary, way. And one of the things is obviously creating the infrastructure, the right infrastructure for the development of this, as I say, the festival tourism subsector. That is critical. So facilities number one. Number two is we have to invest in the music and the arts more. We have to create the next set of musicians who can make Dominican music more competitive globally. So school education, music in schools, music in the communities, music, anywhere.
And the Creole language in school as
I come into that. So the language, which my good friend has been championing for the last 20, 30 years. We have to place a lot more emphasis on strengthening the team at the DFC. Geoffrey made the point. When we started in 1997, none of us had event planning credentials. None of us. Nobody had studied event planning.
Me and Eddie worked with
You know, but nobody studied first event planning.
That experience.
You know, but what we have seen is over the 27 years, a lot of people have gone into their they've invested in their training. The DFC has done some professional training, send people overseas and so on. But we need to do much more of that, because as you rightly pointed out, Jeffrey, you're right. The team is much more professional and much more prepared, better prepared now, intellectually, as an area of specialty to manage a festival than we were 26 years ago. I mean, Eddie Tolan was fantastic in terms of what he did. Gordon Henderson was great in terms of what he did. Wadix and so on, Oliver St. John. But we didn't have the credentials behind our names. I mean, good and bad, you know. So we have to spend some more time on really strengthening the capacity, the human capital to run the festival. The other thing is we talk about stakeholder engagement. Geoffrey, we used to do that from the beginning. We used to go out into some of the communities. We spoke in the private sector and so on. But I think we have to double our efforts in making sure that everybody comes on board. That has to be a Dominica-centric focus. Yes. You know, it has to be a Dominica experience. It's not just DFC and DDA and Ministry of Tourism. It cannot be. So much more. We have to work with the vendors and the service providers, training in food handling, in procurement, in customer service, and so on. Transportation. We have problems now with the ferry out of Martin and Guadeloupe. The Ministry of Tourism and DDA have been doing a lot in terms of bringing in new airlines. You see, American Airlines and so on. So that has to continue. So our transportation sector. So all of those things, we have to work on them to make the festival sector much more competitive. Because folks, there are countries that are doing more festivals. Because I can tell you, this year, in 2024-2025 festival season in the Caribbean, they were all fantastic. Everybody made a huge amount of money. And you know what happened? People see the success, and when they say success brings more success, and so on. And so they're going to put more effort into competing. The competition is going to be greater. So for the next 25 years, these are some of the things that are good. I recommend that we must focus on. But for me, the training and education, the music, we have to focus attention on that, building a capacity, strengthening our tourism sector. So hotels and guest houses and Airbnb and so on, all of these things we have to focus attention on.
So Sobers, are you suggesting or saying that in the next 10, 20, 25 years you'd like to see a greater ratio of the Dominican representation at our festivals, or World Creole Music Festival and others?
No. I was saying that.
I understand, but I'm just asking.
To be more
question.
competitive in the festival marketplace, these are the things that we have to do, and including the artists. Yes, of course, we have to give credence to our artists.
Yeah.
I mean, all big festivals, that's what they do. They push their local artists.
Right.
I mean, Jamaica has one of the biggest festivals in the Caribbean, and 99% of the artists on that festival are Jamaicans. You know, and it's because, as Gordon was saying, because we want to be able to swim in. Geoffrey Joseph's swimming pool at some point.
Right.
The idea is to make our artists and performers much more comfortable into improve in terms of their income and so on. And the final thing I wanted to say on that.
So Geoffrey can quit his day job.
That's right. The final thing I wanted to say was that is the question about the monetizing of the festival. We, as I said, 27 years ago, we talk about a lost leader, a festival which was a lost leader. That was our focus in 1997 was Get Receipt and some memorabilia and so on, those kind of things. Today we have seen the festival sector has evolved. So we are seeing not just merchandising, we are seeing streaming and other things that are coming as part of the festival to make the festival much more valuable. That's going to require a new set of skills. That, I think, is the issue, Gordon. It's going to require some new skills and new thinking, so new dynamics. It's not just doing a festival. So we have to have people who are schooled in the issue of live streaming and digitizing and so on. So that going to require maybe a project on its own.
It's coming along.
And
It should be.
well, yeah, as a member of the board, I will venture to say that these are things that we want to do. So the monetizing of the festival to make sure that this lost leader concept is going to be a thing of the past, and that we can generate revenue to make the festival be much more viable, not just for, as we say, on a global scale, but for the festival sector itself. So we earn our keep then. The festival should earn its keep, but it's not going to happen just like that.
Thank you. Thank you, Sobers. And Ayo, your take on how marketing has evolved, where we're heading over the next few years, and the overall package and production of the World Creole Music Festival and other festivals in Dominica itself.
Well, I would say, we have we operate with a small economy. One of the things that has truly benefited the Creole Music Festival and Dominica festivals, even for our carnival, is social media. Because our digital footprint has really expanded our reach, and I mean our product is great as well. So that combined with people being exposed to our product and being able to have the reach, something we can do, we can create a reel, at the office and have it reach tens of thousands of people, and in some cases through the music and collaboration with our artists and our stakeholders, we can reach millions of people. And it's not, again, it's not just the festival. We have properties like Secret Bay and Jungle Bay, Intercontinental recently won, Caribbean awards for different categories of being the best resort in their category. So those types of things, all of that culminating together really helps us to get a deeper reach into our target market. Because as we are unique as the nature island, and what we offer, is not necessarily for every single person in the world. But what we offer, that unique type of experience, it's very attractive. And because a lot of experiences are commercialized, what we show, that authenticity, and that's why I spoke about preservation. This is when we put out reels where we show our true Dominican culture. Like I was just looking, we had some reels about TV Village and cultural performances, and our traditional bands and our Dominican bands like the Bouya bands. When we put out these reels with the Bouya music, they get a lot more attention, a lot more views than when we just put out like general with other music, or we just put out if we put out a general ad. So people are interested in our culture, they are interested in who we are. And social media, it's about the POV. And so because we offer those personal experiences, I think that is really aiding us in deepening our digital footprint that we are capitalizing on. And I do want to commend our marketing team. And don't get tired of me commending the team. It's a small team, and the team does a lot of magic. So we really have to.
And so you should.
And to let people know, especially when people say, "Oh, that's what Didier doing this," or they should do this and they should do that, and so on. We really, the team is working really hard. I can guarantee you, during Lent, when people think, "Oh, nothing much is happening," there are people working at midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. That it does not stop.
Right.
Because the work of DDA and DFC is not only for the festivals. We are consistently working to improve, continuously promote and market Dominica as authentically as we can. And that is important, because we do not want to go too commercialized. It's important to have all the amenities and meet people's needs, but we do it as who we are, as as Dominican. And that's why people keep the interest. We keep people interested in the festival, and that in itself is part of the product that we can monetize, from the festival as well.
Very well. Geoffrey, you know, based on what Sobers mentioned a while ago, speak to the artists and bands out there. I mean, you've done it as TK, been on the festival probably about 20 times, let's say.
Possibly.
At least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Many artists want that opportunity. Speak to the musicians out there as to how it is they can better develop themselves, better develop their brand, make themselves more marketable, increase their worth, and securing that spot on the World Creole Music Festival, Dominica's biggest stage.
Okay, so I want to learn from what Ayo just mentioned of being yourself. I think that is what makes anybody or gives you an interesting component for people to want to listen to you, to gravitate to you, to want to experience what you have. So one of the things is that I always advise artists coming up is to do what you know is true to yourself, what you believe in as an artist. You know, there are a lot of artists that will do what the commercial space demands of them, because they figure, okay, I want to make it, I want to, in local terms, I want to burst. So for me to burst, I have to do this, I have to do that. But is that really the artist? You know what I mean? And then how long can you keep on doing that?
Yep.
You know, will you be able to really
Sustain.
truly sustain it and really truly bring it out to your audience? Will they really resonate with you? Because are you just putting on a facade, or are you really bringing out something that is genuine to yourself? So that is what I think it needs to start with that. And then from that, you also need to ensure that your product in itself is something that is marketable. Is something that you recognize there is a market for, and you are targeting that market space, and you are presenting yourself with all the different paraphernalia that is required to put around it to that market. It is always wise and good to have yourself presented on a certain level. Don't try to be an international artist, but you present yourself as something else. You're an international artist, you want to be recognized on an international stage, and you put yourself on that level. And then when you get to that stage, it is, as I said before, it's not an automatic renewal of your contract. You know, you don't get there like you get a job in the government. Once they appoint you, that's it. No. Every year you have to keep working on it. I think Gordon alluded to that you also have to, like when he spoke about the Caras-Lipso, this Caras-Lipso is our own and everything like that. Yes, there are younger ones that are trying to come up, but then probably did the Caras-Lipso fraternity that was there continue the work that they needed to do to ensure that the Caras-Lipso is constantly represented at the level. Because as you say, when they're putting together the festival, they're looking to see exactly, okay, how are we going to have the artists engage and keep the festival interesting throughout the entire evening? You know what I mean? So if you have artists that are not keeping up to the level, then, these things going to happen. So from an artist standpoint, you create yourself to get to that stage, and when you get to that stage, you continue to evolve, you continue to grow, you continue to have your presence felt, you continue to ensure that you're not just there because, okay, I had a hit. You don't want to be, wasn't it Milli Vanilli? And then that's the end of it. You have to ensure that you keep on producing, you keep on doing what you have to do. And you study the market. You study the market that you want to enter into. You understand? Because there are different genres, different types of music that will resonate with different demographics, and that's fine. But then if you know you're going to enter into that market, you present what you want to engage with that particular market, and ensure that you do it to the best of your ability. Don't do it half-heartedly and say, I'll do that tomorrow. And you come in full force, and you give it your all, you give it everything. Again, you can only really do that if you believe in what you're doing. And when you get to that stage, the sky is the limit.
Yeah. Wadix, you mentioned earlier, and in your public service announcement, I think you said that there is there's like a carnivalization, something to that extent, of the independence season, something to that sort. Is that something that extends to the WCMF? Do you feel there is some level of diluting. I don't want to, put any negative connotation at this point as we're about to end. But do you feel there should be a better balance in terms of the Franco Creole? I think we've seen less of that. Now we're seeing more soca, more reggae, more bouillon, etc. Less zouk, less compa, less kadas. From my observation, what would be your take on that, and your own suggestions, as a passionate Creole enthusiast and advocate not only for the language but the culture and the Creole Music Festival itself?
Okay, firstly, I want to say the festival again is one of the best platforms for musicians, artists, musical technocrats, and I think it is one of the best activities, events for Dominicans and for Dominica by extension. I am disappointed in the fact that the language was left behind. I believe if the authorities had continued the thrust at the beginning with the language, with the educational component, I think more people would be involved in the language now, because we already had the infrastructure where the Franco Islands were already part of the World Federation of Cultures and the headquarters in Dominica. Secondly, I believe we have to maintain standards for our Dominican artists to emulate. If you just look at the Signal issue, Signal started at the forecourt and eventually moved to the big stage and see where they are. I don't think anybody should be on the big stage. I believe they should work to get there. So that means we should have a criteria to reach there. I don't think you should just come out with one song and all of a sudden, because you have several thousand likes, that you end up there. I think there should be a criteria, a standard criteria to maintain the standard, because the bands that have been on the festival have maintained a standard when you look at the showmanship. Because it is not just mashing up the crowd, but then if you look at the, I guess going to call this free in terms of the bouillon, TK, Signal, Issa, they come with a show, not just pure bouillon. To accompany that the bouillon music, they come with a show because people look forward to the spectacle. Mm-hmm. Right now, people are actually wondering what will these guys come out with this year to surpass the other years. And to me, that is a very important component when you're talking an overall assessment of the Dominican aspect. I believe and still maintain training for engineers. We have gotten better. We have gotten closer to the other bands, but I still feel I am hearing some noise when our bands are playing, which means either the music we're playing is noisier or the mixing is a little inferior. I also believe we should really look at a permanent venue. By now, 25 years, 47 years as an independent nation, we are now a big man or a big woman. And now we should look at really getting a permanent venue like we did for the indoor facility in Massa for entertainment. I looked at in particular, the Newtown Savannah after one event. And if you look at it tomorrow, you'll understand what I mean by that.
Yep.
We are subjected to the weather. Thank God the stadium have some level of shelter and can accommodate the thousands, but I believe the vision should continue where we should try to identify some place, and Gordon gave a very good suggestion for our mountains. Look for some facility where we can develop. We have a problem with archiving. We have a problem with documenting. How much of this information can we just readily get? Can I just call you and tell her I want information from 1998 and just get it? From 2006 and just get it? So we have a serious problem with archiving. We have a serious problem with documenting. Awards. I believe by now we should have a World Creole Music Festival Awards because we started it. But by now that should have been the envy of every single one performing at the World Creole Music Festival to try to be part of the World Creole Music Festival Awards. I think it is critical that we reach to that level, have it on the level of the BET, because already we are seeing the class and the standard of our festival. It is time now we start to look further afield and start to really get this thing global. A Japanese, a Chinese can identify with what we're having. And I believe when we're talking about Creole, we are totally Creole. And it shouldn't be one type of Creole. We should come, a visitor should come to Dominica and get a Creole experience. Now, it works for us in the 2 weeks. This is the template to be $1 billion country. If it can work for us in 2 weeks, why can't we get it to work, if not as big as the 2 weeks, throughout the year? We talk Creole, 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 and after 4th of November, nothing about Creole anymore. Here is the template. And my last statement, heritage tourism is $1 billion tourism, and we have every attribute and one of the strongest heritage tourism in the entire region to surpass any of the other islands if we seriously look at the gifts God has given to us and use them wisely and be more inclusive. And honestly, I pray that we get the best heads. Forget sometimes the political leanings and get the best available heads to come together, evaluate where we are, to see where we need to go for the next 25 years, regardless to what political fence you're leaning on, because there are lots of important human resource available to us now. We have the experience, we have past and present members, we have other people that are involved in entertainment. Get the best, come together and chat our way forward for the next 5, 10, 15 years of WCMF. And my last statement, non ni pou pale Creole la. Si nou pa pale Creole la, yon se jou la nou ke pet Creole la. So I'm happy this year. We will have some Creole on the stage, because I think one of the MCs that I employed is a Guadeloupean MC, because we have to understand these are our Creole brothers and sisters. They come in the majority. We have to make them and continue to make them feel at home.
Yeah, Prince, I know we've extended our time. Sobers, I thank you for extra time. Before we go to Gordon, and I have a question, a yes or no question for each of you. Let me just take in this caller. I think it's Dr. Dobbs. He has been holding on. Dr. Dobbs, thank you for holding your question before we end.
Yeah, boy.
Gentlemen, and lady, I need to comment all of you. I just feel that I graduated from a 5-year university course.
Yes.
Really tremendous.
Yeah, man.
My view is we all agree that it's the experience we're coming for. A few questions. And knowing that we have a good brand that is established. Question is, how can we use this that they're coming for the experience and we have the best brand to negotiate with the artist and combine that with the profitability of the festival. You negotiate it from a position of strength, that you have a product that is in demand, as I would say, everybody wants to come on the festival. How can you negotiate with the artist to get the best deal, the lowest cost, which would further help with the economics? So you spend less money and you get bigger results.
Okay.
Also, that may link to a change of perception of who is big artist and who is not. Are big artists only overseas, or are big artists right here in our locality, and are we treating them on the same level? Are they looking up to the other artists and dealing with other artists on another level? Further point, I would like to suggest that if possible, you could have a forum where the artists come from overseas can interact with our local artists. Some forum, so experience can be exchanged. The engineers, the artists, right across the board. Quickly, I think we should have a post-mortem public involve as much people as possible to discuss the festival, the pros and the cons, get people's ideas. We should develop strategies to ensure that the festival is adopted by every Dominican. I still get the feeling that people go to the festival, but not going to it because, oh, it's our thing. It's like they feeling like they're just pictures. We have to develop strategies to ensure that the festival, everybody feel like it belongs to all of us. The use of the forecourt is very important. I see it as a means where boarding bands, where do the research, find out which bands that are upcoming and give them the opportunity to perform so they can graduate to the big stage, like what's on the signal. And a band that coming to mind is a band called The Rush, which we have to watch. That's a young band playing a lot of Creole and Caribbean music. I guess we'll hear about them more. But in closing, folks, I look at 2026, and I would suggest that we try to get some Spanish music, salsa. I would recommend there is a band, an all-women Cuban band. I think they performed here some years ago. There's also a Dominican band in St. Thomas called Cool Session Brass. They perform here once, and these guys every year producing an album. I mean, and it's Dominican and good music. So all these things have to be considered. Just one record, honestly, I really feel that this year I have too many acts. I mean, I understand we're trying to get as much, but I think we have too many acts. We should have streamlined it and give certain acts more time to perform so we could get the best out of it. Because 45 minutes, some of the acts might tend to be rushed. So, but it is what it is. And in reality, we'll have to do the best with what we can.
Thank you.
Folks, that's all I have to say, but I am really enjoyed it.
Thank
you very much for the opportunity, Miguel.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Dobbs. Gentlemen, you think you could something you could look at based on the suggestions and the question in the office, at the back office, or you want to look at this at the back office? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Dobbs. Before Gordon, a simple question, and I'll start with Geoffrey. I'll go to Ayodele, Sobers, Wadix, and then Gordon, and then his closing comments. There was an omission of Calypso from the Creole Fest, as far as I know, and there was a debate. Some people, Sobers laughing with some people. No, I'm keeping it real around here. Some people felt it had no place on the Creole Music Festival. Other people felt differently. A simple yes or no question. That's okay. Geoffrey, do you feel there could have been a place for the Calypso, even if it's not on this year, but next year, other years, as a musician, yes or no?
Okay, before I get the actual response, I want to preface it by saying that I think the Creole Festival stage is an opportunity for all Dominican culture to showcase itself.
Okay.
So if and Calypso will be Dominican, then we have. I think it's an opportunity for us to showcase that to the international public.
Yeah. Are you on Sobers if you're uncomfortable?
No. I'm not uncomfortable.
You know? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Are you?
Go ahead.
You don't have to answer, are you?
Well, exactly.
I'm
You
saying,
could
but
plead
I think it's difficult to give a yes or no answer.
Yes, and I understand.
No, it's difficult because, as Geoffrey said, okay, it's Dominican music, but it's a look at, okay, the 25 years. Also, part of it was also to show about, like, just a bit back of all the different, to show some of the genres that have like strongly featured on the Creole Music Festival. And okay, Calypso has not also featured, and that's something that's in discussion. I think it's something that I would say there is some back office discussion to be had and some engagement to be had with Calypsonians, so that, because at the same time, we still have to look at how we engage with the audience, and we're looking at the calypso that's available now. What you look at that, or maybe looking at the past. But it's something for consideration. I think there needs to be an approach for engagement for actually having the calypso on the show, like what we've done with all the Buyo artists now. And I mean, some people saying, oh, we have all these Buyo artists now. I will say we also need to recognize that we do still, while it is what was the word you said? A loss leader event, we still have bills, we still have debts. We have debts.
So Calypso.
I'm saying that that's going to come. I'm not saying Calypso.
No. What is you'll comment afterwards?
Let me finish. What I'm saying is that Buyo music is trending. The Buyo artists are trending. It's a way to attract.
No, but the question is the calypso.
Yes.
Stick to the calypso.
Okay, I'll stick to the.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Ayo.
You stick to the calypso.
So you're saying it's not trending? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
because people were doing the comparison.
Calypso.
Yes.
Okay, so
Thanks, Ayo.
Two things two things. One is we're celebrating the art and culture in Dominica and the creative industries. So I want to make a plug for the celebration of the 50th anniversary of the play Strict by Alwyn Bully. That will be at St. Gerard's Hall on November the 1st and 2nd. It's a wonderful play. I just met Lennox Rock, who was Stings in that play, and he remembers the line just like that. And so I want to encourage Dominicans and visitors to check that play out. It's on at St. George's Hall on November the 1st and 2nd. I am supporting what Jeffrey said. I think that Dominican music of all kinds should be on the festival stage. I am a big lover of calypso music, guys. I mean, I met David Roder and what's the guy's name again? When I met David Roder, I was shivering. I'm still feeling it because that's how much I love calypso music. And one of David Roder's biggest songs is calypso music.
Calypso.
And the guy who's on Zoom was a calypsonian. If you know that, you know that, my boy.
Definitely.
He was a calypsonian. I forget his name.
Mighty B.
No, but seriously, I mean, I love calypso, and I would love to see it on the festival stage. That's my take.
Okay, thank you, Sobers.
Okay,
Prince.
to me, we have had Dice, Hunter, Scrunter, Bob, Sai, Sour, Daddy Chess, Observer, Tasha P, Caressa, Soulpuss on the festival stage within the last 25 years.
Okay.
I believe Calypso should be on the festival every year. Why? We're talking Calypso, where Calypso was very prevalent. During the Calypso season or the Carnival season, Calypso is also very prevalent, where Calypso is an immediate stakeholder to DFC and DDA. And I believe it is very important that connection that is pre-Carnival, the same Buyo bands are also pre-Carnival and they are given the privilege, which is no problem. So why can't Calypso give them that same privilege during Carnival? And then finally, it's our independence season. We used to have a Calypso bi-local competition every year during Independence before that National Day.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Mighty B now.
Mighty B. Yeah.
Mighty B.
Mighty B, yeah. So your take on the inclusion or exclusion of Calypso, Gordon, and then you could sum up for us in terms of your overall vision as an open-minded man and musician and as an icon in our music space. One who has been there from inception of the festival and one who we look forward to seeing perform over the weekend. Gordon, in terms of your vision for the World Creole Music Festival over the next few years, let's start with the Calypso.
Okay. The first thing I will say is cadence lipso if we choose to pronounce it in English, but we sang in one of the French lexifier creoles, because we've been talking a lot about different creoles. There are different creoles, but the one that we speak in Dominica, according to linguists, it is under the category of French lexifier Creoles. Not me, eh? That's what the linguists say. Now, Calypso is a variation of Creole, but I will come out with a little scoop that will help Ayo and Sobers in terms of having difficulty. This year, you know, Linford John, who is made known for Calypso, having been the lead singer of the Below Men. He has been crowned twice the Calypso King of St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands. In English, huh? Well, Calypso English, Abo Sing and so on. Not the Queen's English or the King's English. So this year, Linford John will be featured, employed by Miguel Ayo Sobers. You do have a Calypso element featured this year. The Calypso King of St. Thomas, twice in succession before he moved to the United States. So you do have your Calypso.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, look at them. I'm putting a plug for my kid and Calypso brethren.
Yes.
Yeah. You have Calypso with a Calypso King.
Okay.
Now, okay, so just to end, I want to tell Miguel, I want to speak to you directly, that I appreciate you a whole load as a radio personality, and I always felt that you should have done more radio. I appreciate you greatly.
Appreciate you.
You can reveal that very often I contact you, DM,
Yep.
because when I need some information or some insight on your generation of seeing things in the entertainment world, you may recall that one of the rising bouillon bands is the Signal Band. You probably might have forgotten a few years ago, I identified that band and I contacted you saying, I think something must be done about that band. You can reserve your response if you can remember. So I do appreciate you. But in our society, there is an expression that goes around that is called age shaming. And as a professional, I would really, and as an elder, I take the liberty of telling you, try to avoid age shaming, whether it's in humor or otherwise. I appreciate you, brother.
Okay,
Thanks
appreciate
for
that.
having me.
Appreciate that. Yeah, Gordon, your answer in terms of your own vision for the future of the festival?
I think that the festival should continue being the brand that it is, but it shouldn't be afraid of change. Because we mentioned Coachella. Coachella has been constantly changing. I remember in the old days of the discotheque, the discotheques that survived for the longest were those that after a season, they would rip them apart and build. We need to evolve. We cannot remain stagnant. We are celebrating 25 years. And although the brand is established, but if someone was in a coma in the first year and they came back in 2024, probably only the venue might have changed. which means the format is the same thing. We mentioned that there are other revenue streams. We mentioned, well, both Sobers and Wadix outlined a series of necessary actions that we need to take, from thinking of creative ways of venues, increasing training. And there's so many things. I don't want to monopolize all the time. In identifying what we mean by Creole music, because some people think that Creole music is defined by Creole lyrics, because music can be instrumental and with no lyrics at all. And bouillon, I notice there's a lot of code switching, to use another linguistic term, in bouillon. Now, when I listen to bouillon in France on the Caribbean radio stations, they are mainly in Creole. I don't know if that will affect our Dominican bouillon singers who may not be Creole speaking. I noticed that there are a lot of what we call collabs with Guadeloupean. So there is code switching because there is English and Creole. So we have to start thinking of how do we define that Creole music. And the last thing I want to say is Dr. Dublin raised a very important point about the artist fees, lowering the artist fees. And that doesn't mean taking it down from where it is, you know. The local artist, let's say a local artist earns $5 for his performance. I think you can raise the local artist from 5 to 20, and you could take down some of the so-called international acts to from $1 million
The 500.
to 100,000. And the reason that I say that, I want to bring empirical proof to what I say. One of the greatest and biggest festivals of this kind is called WOMAD. I think we all know WOMAD. And there's a whole load of WOMADs multiplying all over the place. And the war in WOMAD is about world music, so it includes us. Now, when you appear on the big WOMAD stage, for example, if TK International, have you performed at WOMAD before? No. If you were to go there, they will ask you to pay to perform, which means it's not a matter of the musicians. As I said, you, on the normal structure that Sobers is talking about, you would have your record company, be it your own or you signed to one of the major companies. You'd have your publishing company, and these are the people that would be financing your movement. So WOMAD would ask you to pay. They would say, okay, if you want to be on WOMAD this year, you have to pay away to wherever we have in it, and pay us 50,000. Why? Because when you will have made that wonderful TK performance that you made in Dominica for the last 20 times at WOMAD, with all the television coverage and the 120,000 people, I am sure with the TK beat, you will not, your ROI, return on investment, the 50,000 will be worth it. Well, I don't want to give a lecture.
Right, especially when I need my rest to enjoy my birthday. Yes. Okay, the following day I need my rest.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Happy
you.
birthday
in
to
advance.
you.
Oh, look at how we make up. Gordon sings happy birthday to me. Yeah, Gordon. So Gordon, thanks. I appreciate you. I think you got it wrong, but I respect how you feel. You know, it was just, I think, a misunderstanding, and I'm not one to, be insensitive to that.
So there was no
that
head shaming. Okay.
But I respect how you feel, and we move past that. Appreciate you, Gordon, and I'm looking forward to your performance. Thank you, Geoffrey. All the best with your performance at the upcoming event. Thank you, Sobers, for your input and insight. Thank you very much, Ambassador Leroy, Prince Wadix, and Ayo. I want to wish you all the best this weekend. I know we are all very tired. We are all very busy. And we've taken the time out to come and engage in this very meaningful discussion. 25 in 25 and moving forward. Thank you again, guys. All the best. Thank you to our listeners and viewers.
Thank you. Good night. Good night.
Thank you.